Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. My name is CJ Curry. It's the CJ Curry Show, and you know it's presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is making daily fantasy sports easy on you. All you do is pick your favorite superstars from your favorite sports. Two, three, four, five, up to six different picks, guys, and you can win up to 25 times your money. If you've never played on PrizePicks before and you want to get started, a 100% instant deposit match awaits you. All you have to do is use promo code Curry when you sign up and make your first deposit. I've left a link down in the description below. Totally risk-free, your first bet. Gotta love that. Thank you for PrizePicks for A, sponsoring the show, and B, providing great promos and value to your customers, including today's promo, which is Flex Friday, meaning your first Flex entry made after 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time is totally risk-free, meaning you can risk up to $20 today, up to $20 today, and if you lose, they're going to refund that money back to you. So you're not really risking or losing anything. So fantastic day to get started on PrizePicks if you're not playing on PrizePicks yet. Yesterday was a fun NBA slate. We ended up on the winning side of things on our Patreon post. Ended up with like a little over 57% hit rate on the picks that I posted. 4-3 overall. One of those picks, unfortunately, that lost was Luka Doncic. Yeah, Luka Doncic goes down 3 minutes into the game, injures his foot, ankle, did not return. So it's unfortunate when you lose a pick or lose a bet due to injury. So get well soon, Luka. I hope you get back on your feet quickly. The game of basketball needs you and loves you. Anyway. We got some folks up in the building. Let's run through the live chat real quick. Say what's up to everybody. Say hello to everyone who's viewing. Guys, we're on our way to 8,000 subscribers. There's a really good chance. Now, I can't do this alone, obviously. I need help. I need new viewers, new subscribers to tune in and be a part of the movement here. But there's a really good chance that today might be the day we hit 8,000 subscribers. We're going for 10,000 by the end of the NBA season. So that's our long-term goal. Our short-term goal, which was this week, was to try to get to 8,000 new subs, 8,000 subs by the end of the week. We're almost there. We're knocking on the door. We're on the freaking precipice of greatness, my friends. So if you're not subscribed yet, get subscribed. Let's try to push this thing over the goal line here and reach 8,000 subscribers. Share it with a friend who's into player props. Share it with a friend who's into basketball content. Share it with a friend who plays on PrizePicks, okay? Let's get it done. Let's push it over that 8,000 mark. Speaking of, guys, I want to say a big shout out to you. I think we set a record this week for the most likes on any show, on any stream to date, which was yesterday. I think we had over 130 likes, the most we've had in a really long time, and it kept our streak of 100 or more likes going. So I appreciate all of you folks who continue to pound the rock, pound that like button. So let's get that thing over 100 likes once again today. All right, let's run through, say good morning and good afternoon, and shout out everybody who's joining me live. Guys, we got Jared in the building. He says, let's go. We're going to the great beyond, my friend. We are reaching for greatness today, and you're going to be a part of it, Jared. Thanks for being here. Everyday Fantasy says, what it do, fam? Flex Friday and going for the win. Hey, it's Flex Friday, and you left the flex emoji, so I got to flex back at you. Zach's in the building. Glad to have you here. Caesar's in the building. Happy Friday to you, TGIF Caesar. We got Corby. He says, I can't play today because I am negative. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means like financially you are in the red, you are negative in your account. I don't know if that means you are just a negative person, but whatever the case may be, I'm praying for you, brother. I hope that negative turns into a positive. I hope you flip that thing around and you get back on the positive track, all right? Shout out to you, though. Thanks for being here, Corby. We got a Mario Grissom. He says, hey, I'm trying to join the VIP, but is there going to be a problem connecting on Discord? No, not that I know of. I don't think there's a problem. All you have to do is connect your Patreon to your Discord. Feel free to shoot me a DM. You can shoot me a DM on Twitter at Curry the Creator, or jump in the free Discord. Links down to everything I got going on down in the description of today's show. shoot me a DM in Discord, and I'd be happy to provide some technical support and some assistance with getting your Patreon and Discord accounts connected. I see we already got some new subscribers jumping up in here. Let me say what's up to them real quick. We got Jay Spicy. Jay Spicy. I don't know why they call you Spicy. I don't know that I want to find out, Jay. Let's keep that a secret. All right, we won't ask any more questions. Quentin, shout out to you, Quentin Blackman, subscribing to the channel, and Zach Humphrey subscribes to the channel. Brother, thank you for flexing and subscribing. I appreciate you. What else we got in here? Mr. K Mitch says, "What's up, bro? New patron. Hey, thank you for being here. Hey, I appreciate that, brother. You keep flexing, and I'll keep flexing back." Abraham's in here. He says, "Relax, relax. All right, yeah, no place for drama. All right, we're all on the same team here. We all have the same motive, the same mission. We're all trying to accomplish the same thing. We want to win a few bucks today on Prize Picks. Hopefully, some of the research and the picks and plays discussed in today's show will lead us there. Okay." John Badger coming through with the super chat already. He says, "Happy Friday. Join the Patreon and let's hit that Flex Friday today, fellas." Actually, John, I'm gonna have to push back just a little bit and say that if somebody is interested in joining Patreon, they may want to wait a few days until the first of the month. That's right. Shout out to Bone Thugs. Wait till the first of the month, okay? That way you can maximize your subscription and your membership and you won't have any issues. But the first of the month will probably be your best bet at this point, being that we're just a few days away from February 1st. I'd say pump the brakes, hold off, join then. But John, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Again, those go a long way to help supporting the channel. Highlight your comment for the world to see, okay? And, if you have questions about player props, super chat's going to be your best friend. The number one way to get that question answered is going to be through super chat. Ryan T's in the building, another one of our patrons. Hey, man, appreciate you, Ryan T. He joined the Patreon recently. Love having you in the community, Ryan. Thank you so much for your support. B-Don's in here. He says that Bojan, Vooch, and Mikhail sucked. Vooch was great for first half. He was actually one of our Patreon plays. I had Vucevic for over 9.5 first half points, so I don't want to hear too much Vucevic hate and slander. Yeah, he sucked for a full game, but for first half only, a gem. And along with him, I also played DeMar DeRozan under his first half PRA, which continues to be my bread and butter. One of my bread and butter plays, DeMar DeRozan under first half PRA. So both of those guys hit. Anyway, what else? We got Will Gardner in here. Does he go over locks? No, I don't go over locks, man. There are no locks. Come on, you know that by now. You've probably been burned by one of these picks, one of these props, one of these plays that somebody out there on YouTube or Twitter or the PrizePicks Discord or whatever Discord group you're a part of. They've given it the 5-star approval. They've given it 3 thumbs up. They said that this play has a 65.6% chance of hitting based on the plus EV odds and the way that... Come on, man. You already know there are no locks out here. So why would I tell you that I got a lock for you? I don't have a lock for you. What we can do, though, is try to put in a little bit of research, roll our sleeves up, get our hands dirty, put the work in, and try to go for a prop that has a high success rate. A prop where a player's in a great matchup that we can possibly try to take advantage of. But I'm not going to sit up here and sell you a promise, sell you a wish, a hope, and a dream that there is a lock that you should take everything in your bank account and put it down on this play because it's gonna hit. Come on, man. There ain't no locks. No, I don't have any locks. But we will get into some picks, and we will do some research, and we will do our due diligence to try and land on some winning plays for you, my friend. That's what I will promise you, that the work will be put in. D'Angelo is in the building. He says, "Happy Flex Friday. Going to be in Tampa today. Hopefully being in the Chef City will bring me the dubs." Hey, bro, hit me up. Hit me up. Where you going to be at, man? Let me know. Let me know. If you're trying to link, let me know if you're trying to link. Corby with the like. Appreciate you, Corby. Who else we got in here? Tyrone's here. He says, "What's up, CJ? Let's keep it going. TGIF." That's right. Yeah. We got 2 winning days out of 4. So if we win today, that would be good. 3 winning days out of 5 would be good. I would take that. Who else we got in here? Oh, Negative Financial. Corby, today's Friday. I don't know if it's payday for you. Maybe you're a bi-weekly payday type of guy. Maybe you got to wait till next Friday. But Corby, I hope you find a way to get some bread up, brother. Trill Fate's in the building. Happy Flex Friday to you, Trill. Caleb says, yo, 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 here to make some money. Caleb, glad to have you. Thanks for being here. Josh Long says, need some huge hitters today, guy. Well, we're going to hopefully get into it and find those, man. Tyree says, I mess with your channel, bro. Tyree, I mess with you, man. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Dave Gutierrez is in the building. Thank you, Dave, for being here. Who else we got in here? Zael says, who thinks Anthony Edwards is going over tonight? I think Anthony Edwards could be in a good spot. He could be in a good spot. That's going to be one that we need to definitely take a look at. Smoking from YouTube. Smoke from YouTube. Yo, CJ, bro, you work for PrizePicks. How do we know this isn't a setup? No, I work for myself. What's so crazy is I get to help you guys out. I get to give back to you guys. I get to put free 2-pick power plays in your PrizePicks account for you guys to win $100. Ask my patrons, okay? I put plays out to help people beat PrizePicks. I run this channel to help people win on PrizePicks. I don't work for PrizePicks. I represent for the company and for the brand. Yeah. But I don't work for them. I'm independent. INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means, man? That means I do my own thing. All right. Shout out Webby. All right. Let's keep it moving. Now that we've addressed Smoke from YouTube. Thank you, Smoke. And go Birds. I see you got that Cowboys in there. Go Birds. Chris Day says, Edwards has been playing well. You're absolutely right. Caleb says, you know what your win percentage is so far this year? Caleb, I create content, brother. I'm not a professional handicapper. I'm not somebody out here who's like keeping track of their bets and stuff like that. No, got no idea. No clue, my friend. No clue whatsoever. King United in the building. Thanks for being back here, brother. What else we got? Who else? Anybody I miss? Adrian says, ain't no motherfucking locks, folks. You're right. You are right about that. James David Williams says, Draymond. NBA first, 3.5 NBA first. What is that, points? I don't know what that means. Bang Bang 49er gang. Alex, I feel sorry for you and the rest of you 49ers fans. I feel sorry. Tweez is in the building. Shout out to you. Jado, what's up? Roderick's here. He says, all winners today. Who else we got? We got... Adalbert Victor says, hey, CJ, can we get into it now? Yeah, we can get into it now. I just wanted to say what's up to everybody. Y'all made CJ bring out his inner Webby. You know, hey, man, I've grown up in the South, brother. I'm from Florida. I'm from Tampa. I've been down here since A1 day one, 37 years down here in the Sunshine State, a.k.a. the Gunshine State, okay? I'm Florida man personified. I listen to everything growing up, hip-hop especially. So, yeah, I get down with some Webby. Anyway, let's get into it, y'all. We got to pick a winner. What I'm talking about here by picking a winner, every single day, I'm going to the comment section from our previous show. I'm picking somebody who subscribed, who liked, and who left a comment on our previous day's video. From there, okay, we are giving away a risk-free 2-pick power play to hook you up with $100 in your PrizePicks account, okay? Every single day I'm doing this. So we're going to pick a winner. We're going to give away a risk-free 2-pick power play. I see all you guys in the PrizePicks comments, in the PrizePicks Twitter asking, where's the airdrop? Where's the promo funds? Okay, cool, PrizePicks, but when are you going to send me some promo? Well, they use people like me to help get that promo credit to you, okay? So that's what I'm here for, to give back to you folks who are playing on PrizePicks, to line your pockets with some greenbacks. So let's go ahead and do it right here, right now. All right, I've already got the comments loaded from yesterday's show. We got 37 unique comments. So shout out to everybody who left a comment on yesterday's video. That comment can be anything from your favorite pick, prop, or play of the day. You could also comment, CJ, your beard looks nice. I like your PrizePicks dad cap. CJ, the Orlando Magic suck. Whatever you want to leave me, all right? I'll take the good, the bad, the ugly. But anyway, we got the 37 comments from yesterday's show already preloaded here. All we do now is hit this start button. It randomizes those comments. It picks one of them out of the hat, and then you guys got to reach out to me and get set up with your risk-free 2-pick power play. All right, Listen, Anthony Diaz, congratulations, my friend. You are today's winner. He was looking for Şengün to go over 5.5 assists, and the GOAT, the young GOAT, Alperen Şengün, did go over 5.5 assists, which really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your comment's right or wrong. Hopefully you're leaving good comments, good picks in there for other people to see in detail. But Anthony Diaz, you are today's winner. So you've got yourself a risk-free 2-pick power play on the way. If you get both of those picks right, you're going to win $100, my friend. So all I need you to do now, send me a DM, whether that be on Twitter at Curry, the creator, or jump in the Discord, shoot me that DM. I need your PrizePicks email address so I could get that risk-free 2-pick power play added to your account ASAP, 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 ASAP. When you leave a comment for me, I'm going to give it back to you ASAP, all right? And in this case, I'm giving you back a 2-pick power play, all right? So shout out to you, Anthony Diaz. Moving on, we got to solve today's Larry Birdle mystery player. We are looking for the mystery player of the day. It is not Jordan Poole, although he is our thumbnail player of the day, and I think he's in a good spot tonight against the Toronto Raptors. I started kicking this off with Jordan Poole. It's not going to be Jordan Poole, though. All right, it's not somebody from the Western Conference, nor is it a Pacific Division player. So we got to go out east. We're looking for somebody who is probably a forward or a center, someone taller than 6'4", someone older than 23 years old, and somebody who's rocking a jersey number that's higher than the number 3 that Jordan Poole wears on his back. So we're looking for somebody taller than 6'4", older than 23. Jersey number's got to be higher than number 3, and we got to go out east. Out east where I'm at, all right? Out on the East Coast here. So lots of different teams to choose from. I'm going to just pick one of these guys who's going to be in action today. This is totally random. Don't know if this is the right pick or not, but they like to throw some weird guys at us. So I'm going to go with Precious Achiuwa of the Toronto Raptors and see if that is a worthwhile guess or not. It is not Precious Achiuwa. This player does reside in the East, though. We know that. Not in the Atlantic Division. Is a forward. All right. Achiuwa's 6'8". He's a little bit too tall, so we're looking for somebody who's probably like 6'6", 6'7", so probably like a small forward / power forward hybrid style player. Achiuwa's 23, just like Jordan Poole, so he's not quite old enough, and that jersey number 5 still too low. So we got to go higher. We got to go higher. Mario, I missed your comment. My bad, bro. Nothing personal. I ain't going to get to everybody's comments. Sometimes people get missed. Caleb, these are comments from the comment section after the video ends. You got to go to the comment section. When the replay gets posted to YouTube, down in the comments, comment your favorite pick, prop, or play of the day. And that's how I am selecting names for the giveaways every day from the comment section, not from the live chat, from the comment section. So wait till the show's over, head to the replay, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Not the Atlantic Division. I can tell you it's not the Atlantic Division. So we got to go Central or we got to go Southeast. I'm going to throw an Orlando Magic player out there. Again, random. Don't know if this is going to work out or not. What about my boy Terrence Ross? Fun fact about me. I randomly got linked up with Terrence Ross in a game of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We actually play Warzone together. He put out a tweet on Twitter saying, yo, looking for somebody to play some Warzone with. I said, yo, I'm a big Magic fan. Add me, bro. What's your gamer tag? Let's link up. And me and T Ross played some Call of Duty Warzone together. Good times, good times. And he follows me on Twitter. Shout out to T Ross. It is not Terrence Ross though. However, this player, not an Orlando Magic player, it is in the Southeast player. And T Ross is 6'7". He's a guard / forward. He is not old enough. At 31 years old, Terrence Ross, a veteran at this point in his career. Not old enough, though. This mystery player is older than 31 years old. It's going to be older than Terrence Ross. And the jersey number is going to be one that is above 31. There's somebody that comes to mind real quick who's in the Southeast, who's an OG, a veteran, but I don't think he's 6'7". I'm going to go with it, though. I'm going to go with Udonis Haslem. I don't know why that. Oh, my God. Wow. History was just made right there. Totally random guess. Didn't think this was the right answer. It is Udonis Haslem of the Miami Heat. Sheesh. Okay, go me. Forward, 6'7". For some reason, I was thinking UD was like 6'9" or 6'10". He's kind of an undersized power forward now that I look at it. 6'7", 42 years old, Udonis Haslem, and he's rocking jersey number 40. Was Udonis Haslem ever a different jersey number, or has he always been 40 with Miami? For some reason, I wanted to say he was like 55 at one point. Did he ever change his jersey number? Y'all let me know in the chat if you have any intel, any information. My Miami Heat fans, my OG Miami Heat fans, let me know if Udonis Haslem, has he always been number 40, or did he have a jersey number change at one point? Anyway, it is Udonis Haslem. So, dang, we didn't even look at the silhouette today. All right, congratulations. If you guessed Udonis Haslem, you're right. He's 40 right now. No, I know he's 40 right now, but has he always been number 40? That's what I'm asking. I don't know if he ever like switched the uniform number up, or has he always been with the 40? Okay. Taking a look at today's NBA slate. We got 5 games. Kind of a small set of games tonight. They start at 7 o'clock, so let's get through them, and let's talk about what we have to look forward to. We got Milwaukee at Indiana starting things off. This game starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. All right, as far as injury news goes, we know Bobby Portis is still out for Milwaukee, no Serge Ibaka, so their front court's going to be kind of thin. There's some rumors that they're possibly in the mix, in the hunt to get Jay Crowder from the Phoenix Suns. Milwaukee looking to add some depth in that front court. With Bobby Portis going down with an injury, adding Jay Crowder is something that they potentially are rumored to look to be doing. I don't really like that fit because I feel like they already kind of got a guy like that, a 3-and-D guy in Wes Matthews. They're only like an inch different in height, and I don't even know that Jay Crowder's all that much better than Wes Matthews, but that's a story for a different time. Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez is your projected starting lineup. So nothing real crazy happened on the Milwaukee Bucks side as far as injury news goes. Now for the Indiana Pacers, Andrew Nembhard, I believe he missed the last game. Aaron Nesmith is also listed as a game time decision, as is Miles Turner. Miles Turner, I believe, exited that game against the Orlando Magic a little bit early with some sort of foot or ankle injury, so it'll be interesting to see if Miles Turner is able to go tonight. If he does not go, then you'll probably see more minutes for the likes of Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jackson, some O'Shea Brissett. All right, so Indiana's already dealing with some injuries with their top player, Tyrese Halliburton, out tonight. Looks like they could be in trouble for potentially more injuries tonight. Great game total, 239.5 points, but it's an 8.5 point spread, and I really just don't see how Indiana remains competitive in this game for very long. I would not be surprised if this is a blowout by halftime or by the third quarter. So if you're going to take anything from this prop, full game, do so sparingly. You may want to just consider this a first half only style game. So on PrizePicks, if you've never played on PrizePicks before, they offer first half only props, which is very good for games like this that could potentially blow out. You could take some overs comfortably in a first half only situation. So that might be the best way to approach this one. Memphis at Minnesota. This is going to be one of the more fun games, if not maybe the most fun game of the night. It tips off at 7:30 p.m. 238.5 point total with a 3-point spread. Expect a lot of points between these two teams. Of course, Memphis is dealing with some injuries. Steven Adams is the big one. He will not be in the starting lineup tonight. It looks like they're projected to run Brandon Clark at center with Jaren Jackson Jr., Dillon Brooks, possibly Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane's also listed as a game time decision. And then Ja Morant at point guard. So kind of interesting. If Desmond Bane happens to sit out tonight, Tyus Jones is an interesting play for a couple of different reasons. I was doing some little goofing around research this morning. I posted some stuff in Discord. Tyus Jones, a couple of different reasons why he's interesting to me tonight. Once upon a time was a Minnesota Timberwolf. Some of y'all who are hoops heads know what I'm talking about. He was a T-Wolf, and he's from Minnesota. So it's probably going to be one of them situations where Tyus Jones is going to have friends and family watching him play tonight, and you got a little bit of that revenge narrative sprinkled in, right? So for those of you who like a good narrative, who like a good story, Tyus Jones playing in front of friends and family potentially tonight in Minnesota, playing against his former team, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Maybe Tyus Jones has himself a good night, especially if Desmond Bane doesn't end up lacing him up and getting out there and playing tonight. Over on the Minnesota side, Rudy Gobert's a game time decision. His status from game to game, night to night is always kind of up in the air. Right now, he's listed as a game time decision. We saw Draymond Green rip down, 13 rebounds against the Memphis Grizzlies the other night. Draymond, kind of an undersized center, power forward. For him to be able to pull down 13 rebounds without Steven Adams on the other side for Memphis, I expect big things for Rudy Gobert. I don't know what his rebound prop line is going to be. 13.5 sounds pretty good to me. Maybe they'll make it 14.5. We know what the stifle tower Rudy Gobert is capable of whenever he applies himself to getting rebounds. So that'll be interesting. Still no Karl Anthony Towns, Taurean Prince, Jordan McLaughlin. All those guys are out. But yeah, total of 238.5 with a 3-point spread. That looks pretty damn sweet. Orlando at Miami. Battle in the Southeast. My team, Orlando. No Jonathan Isaac tonight. They're giving him some rest. He recently made his return to the starting lineup. He played a couple of games and played pretty well. So they're going to give him the night off tonight. Chuma Okeke also out, or OKK. I guess it's OKKK. Chuma Okeke is also out for the Orlando Magic. So Miami, they got their own list of injuries here. Jovic, Robinson, Yurtseven all out. Keep an eye on Max Strus, Martin, Highsmith. Those three, all game time decisions, but they look more probable than anything. The Miami Heat have been very healthy lately. Jimmy Butler did not play against Boston recently, but he's back in the starting lineup. So this game's got a very low total, though, 219.5 points. Just an 8-point spread here. Probably going to be one of those games that could potentially blow out. Orlando, though, surprising some folks this season, staying competitive in a lot of these games, beating teams like Golden State and Boston. And so, hey, don't sleep. Don't sleep on the Orlando Magic. 8 o'clock tip-off between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Love, game time decision. Donovan Mitchell, the big one here, also listed as a game time decision. We've seen him sit out some games recently. And then Dylan Windler already ruled out. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, Lou Dort is out. No Lou Dort, no Pokashevsky, no JRE for Oklahoma City either. So this will be an interesting situation for the Thunder. Kind of surprised that this game has just a 1-point spread, but if you've been watching the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe I shouldn't be so surprised. I mean, they're 23-25. They're not exactly tanking or playing awful. They've surprised me in a lot of these games. So I would not be surprised if guys like Kevin Love and Donovan Mitchell sit out and then OKC somehow makes this a competitive game. The total here, though, just 222 points, so don't go too crazy with too many overs. SGA struggled in his first matchup against Cleveland. Again, I think Mitchell and Garland were healthy for that game. If Mitchell sits out, you're probably going to see Karis LeVert move into the starting lineup. You'll probably see veteran Ricky Rubio get more minutes off the bench. So that's kind of the situation to monitor with Cleveland. Love and Mitchell, more importantly. And then the last game of the night, another fun one that I'm looking forward to is Toronto versus Golden State. I think these two teams match up really well. Excited to see them play once again. Andre Iguodala and Andrew Wiggins are both game time decisions tonight, so obviously stay on top of the Andrew Wiggins news. Iguodala's not really that much of a factor. Outside of that, yeah, you got Draymond Green and Pascal Siakam. I love that matchup. Wiggins potentially versus Barnes, Klay Thompson versus OG Anunoby, Jordan Poole versus Gary Trent, and then Steph Curry versus Fred Van Vliet. Now, if you go back and look at that Toronto and Sacramento game, one of the plays that we were on was Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter had himself a good game. We kind of talked about, like, based on matchups, we kind of thought Fox was going to struggle. Sabonis might struggle with Pascal Siakam a little bit. And that kind of ended up proving to be true. It ended up being that whoever Gary Trent was matched up with, which I think was Red Velvet, aka our guy Kevin Huerter, ended up having a good game. So if he's matched up on Jordan Poole tonight, I think Jordan Poole and or possibly Klay Thompson could have themselves a pretty darn good night tonight. But love the total here at 235. It's just a 5-point spread. Okay. All right, let's go split screen here. It's time to take some of your questions, guys. If you have them, I'm here to help you answer them. Again, Nobody has the locks. Don't let people tell you they have the locks. What they have, though, is plays probably that are, well researched or that have an edge, whether it be a mathematical edge or something that has a high hit rate or a good matchup. But no, there are no locks. Remove the word locks from your sports betting vocabulary because it's toxic. What happens when someone says they have the locks? It builds your expectations up, right? Put your expectations on a level 10. And then when the prop misses, oh boy, does it hurt, huh? It hurts your feelings, doesn't it? Yeah, that's why I don't say anything about locks, because there ain't no such locks, all right? All right, let's go ahead here. Run through your chat comments, guys. If you have picks that you're liking, throw them my way. Let me know. There was one that I came across, and I think some other people out there are probably already on this one. While you guys are generating some questions, some picks and props that you're liking, Klay Thompson was one that I've seen some people already discuss this morning. Of course, Klay Thompson's been doing a fantastic job when it comes to scoring the basketball. I do worry a little bit about how Toronto might match up with Klay Thompson. Who are they going to put on him? I mean, they got some feisty defenders out on the wing, guys like OG Anunoby, good defender. Pascal Siakam probably going to be matched up with Draymond Green just due to needing some size there. But Scotty Barnes, potentially, very good defender, long, lengthy, athletic. So he could potentially give Klay Thompson some problems if they stick Scotty Barnes and or OG Anunoby on Klay tonight. But I've seen some folks on Klay Thompson's points already this morning. I don't hate it. Klay's done a really good job, especially in the last 15, 20 games or so. You can see a lot of green bars here in a lot of his more recent games. He's 8 for his last 10, and he's typically a better scorer at home. You see that his last 15 or 20 games at home, he's hit the over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of his last 11 games playing in Golden State. He's gone over 21.5 points. So very good scorer at home, averaging 23.2 points per game. On the road, just 17.9 points per game. We'll call it 18 points per game, but you can see the big difference there, right? He's definitely more of a home guy than he is an away guy. So he is playing at home tonight, although the matchup, again, does give me some cause for concern. He did play Toronto once already this season. It was in Toronto, ended up with 17 points against the Raptors in that game. Now, you could also take a look at what he did last season. He did not play Toronto at all last season, so we only have one game from the past 2 seasons where he's played the Raptors. 17 points, though, so he did have his struggles. 17 points, and he played 34 and a half minutes, got plenty of run. All right, this was December 18th. Shot the ball 14 times, but just 6 for 14 from the field, 3 for 9 from beyond the arc, 2 for 2 on his free throws. So that kind of gives you a quick glimpse at what Klay Thompson did against Toronto the first time that they played. But yeah, lately Klay has been very hot, scoring the ball well. And like I said, it bodes well that he plays at home tonight in front of the Golden State Warriors fans. So let me get you a projection real quick on this Klay Thompson point prop. He's projected for 21.4 points. Not a big edge when you compare the projections on Action Labs, Fantasy Labs to the 21.5 point line that he's at on PrizePicks. And then his line's pretty stagnant across all the sports books. What I mean by that is you're not really seeing any juice on the over, juice on the under. It's pretty much even odds here across all books. So Klay Thompson could be one that you consider tonight, depending on who they match up with him. Like, is it going to be Gary Trent Jr., which might be the easiest matchup for him? Is it going to be Anunoby? Is it going to be Scotty Barnes? What do you guys think? Who are they going to put on Klay Thompson tonight? Anyway, let's see here. I see Brandon Lowe saying that my bedroom door locks. Well, that's a good thing, Brandon. You want some privacy. Jeff says, new to PrizePicks, what prop on PrizePicks is best to target, or what do you guys typically go for? Like, are you asking for basketball, like a certain category, or I don't know. I don't know that, there's a certain category that has a higher hit rate than others. I would say that points are kind of cool because points, you don't have to rely on another player. And so, a guy like Klay Thompson, for instance, Klay, as long as his shot's falling, then he'll get his points. You don't really have to worry about something like an assist where you have to pass it to another player and then rely on that player to make the bucket for you, right? So maybe points is like the purest form of player prop for the NBA, but you guys let me know. If you have a better answer for Jeff, help Jeff out. Let him know. Let's see here. Going through some of these super chats that are starting to roll in. Guys, I appreciate these, by the way. Thank you so much. I'm going to go and do a deep dive on some of these super chats that you guys are leaving. Chris Day's coming through. He's talking about some Brook Lopez, Brolo, under 6 rebounds. Brook Lopez under 6 rebounds. That's an interesting option. Obviously, we know that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be shorthanded tonight, right? So no Bobby Portis and no Serge Ibaka. So that's going to leave them a little bit thin at the center spot. I mean, behind Brook Lopez, they don't really have a whole lot at center. Maybe they run Giannis a little bit, 6'10" or whatever he is, the Greek freak. Maybe he plays a little bit of minutes at center. Who else does Milwaukee have, though, behind Brook Lopez, outside of Bobby Portis and Serge Ibaka? You guys let me know if you know about that Milwaukee Bucks depth chart. But we know the Indiana Pacers have been a team that you can rebound on if you're a big man. Brook Lopez, historically, though, has not been known as much of a rebounder. He's 7 foot for nothing, even going back to his days with like the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets or whatever. He's never been a big-time rebounder throughout the course of his career. Not a guy who's going to get you 10-plus rebounds consistently or anything like that. So I can kind of see why you're wanting to take the under on his rebounds. But let's look at it a little bit closer here and see if we've got some information for you. And I appreciate you leaving that super chat, Chris. We'll definitely dive into this one a little bit further. So we're using Props.cash. For those of you wondering, what is this site that I'm on here? It's called Props.cash. It's just $19.99 a month. It gets you access to NFL, NBA, NHL, CSGO, and they do MLB as well. I used it a lot last season for MLB. It helped a ton. So just $19.99 a month. And if you don't use Props.cash yet and you want to start or try it out, your first month, 25% off when you use code Curry at checkout. So definitely give Props.cash a look if you haven't yet. But anyway, Brook Lopez is sitting out here at 6 boards today, opening up his last 5 games. You've seen him go under 6 rebounds in 4 straight. He's had 6 or below in 5 out of his last 5. So let's take a look here a little bit closer using Props.cash. The last 10 games, which is something that you can't get on PrizePicks, he's hit 6 or more rebounds just 3 times out of his last 10 games. So you might be onto something here, taking the under on Brook Lopez. Worth noting, he has played Indiana once already this season. He did manage to pull in 6 rebounds in that game. That was from January 16th. That was about 11 days ago. Bad math at first. 11 days ago, he did play Indiana and managed 6 boards in that game. He is a big betting favorite at 5.5 rebounds, which is why you're seeing him at 6 rebounds right here. The betting public is taking the over due to the matchup, most likely against this Indiana Pacers squad. So let's look at the center spot. Last 7 games, Indiana Pacers are giving up a healthy amount of rebounds in that 7-game span. 14.49, let's call it 14.5 rebounds in the last 7 games. If you look at their season numbers, giving up 16.2 rebounds per game as well. Now, I will preface this pick by saying this. They may be jumping on the over at Brook Lopez rebounds at 5.5 because they're expecting Miles Turner to potentially sit out. If Miles Turner's out for Indiana tonight, well, that leaves a pretty big hole in the middle for the Pacers. They're going to have Jalen Smith. They're going to have Isaiah Jackson get a lot of those backup minutes. And I don't think either one of those guys, as far as size goes, matches up very well against a true 7-footer against Brook Lopez. So he might have himself an easier time when it comes to grabbing rebounds tonight against the likes of Isaiah Jackson and or Jalen Smith coming off of the bench. So keep that in mind. If Miles Turner is ruled out, I don't think that I feel comfortable taking the under on Brook Lopez here. If he is in, Lopez might struggle a little bit. He might end up with just 5 or possibly 6 rebounds. But one other thing that we can do here, we know he's 1 for 1 with 6 boards against the Pacers in their previous matchup. We can take Bobby Portis out and see what happens here with Lopez's rebounds when Bobby P doesn't play. All right, he's got 2 games, 1 game from last season, 1 game from this season without Bobby Portis. He is yet to get at least 6 rebounds in any of those 2 games. So he had 5 boards last season against Brooklyn, his former team, without Bobby Portis. He had 4 rebounds this season against the Denver Nuggets without Bobby Portis. So he's over his last 2 games played without Portis. 1 game from last season, 1 game from this season. So just want to throw that out there. But yeah, big betting favorite at 5.5 boards. Let's pull that up real quick for you. Get you a projection here. I got Brook Lopez not Dylan Brooks. Brook Lopez projected for 7.3 rebounds, okay? 7.3. So you can see why a lot of people are taking the over at 5.5. Minus 155, minus 142, even a minus 160 on a site like BetMGM, betting favorite to go over 5.5 boards. Now there's a chance maybe he gets stuck on 6, maybe he lands on exactly 6 rebounds. As we mentioned, has not rebounded very well in the last 4 games, has not exceeded 6 rebounds in a while in a number of games, right? So keep an eye on the Miles Turner news. I'll say that. You might want to wait before putting Brook Lopez under rebounds. He's projected for 7.3, big betting favorite to get at least 6. And he might even get 6 or 7 if Miles Turner's out tonight. So there you go. There's a little rundown for you on Lopez. For right now, it's a wait and see for me. I got to wait and see what's happening with the Indiana Pacers. Who's going to be in, who's going to be out. So, all right, let's see here. Who else did... I got another super chat from somebody. Okay, it was Ryan T. Ryan, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, can you look into Giannis and Gobert's points and rebounds? So if you missed the start of the show, Rudy Gobert is still listed as a game time decision. It's really been kind of a coin flip lately when he's listed as a game time decision if Gobert actually will play or not. So you definitely want to wait and see on Rudy Gobert. I don't think we have any Gobert props up just yet, do we? No, nothing for Gobert, but we can look at that Giannis real quick. And the Giannis was points and rebounds as well. He's at 44.5, again, going up against Indiana. Indiana's a pretty soft matchup. So if you feel like Brook Lopez isn't going to get the rebounds, well then Giannis would probably be your next best candidate. Actually, probably your first best candidate as far as leading the team in rebounds. It should be Giannis, right? No Bobby Portis, no Ibaka. Lopez, not a great rebounder. You would imagine that Giannis and probably some help from his teammates would probably lead the Milwaukee Bucks in rebounds tonight. So let's go take a look at that. Since we can't really look into the Gobert pick, I don't know what Gobert's line is set at or anything. I don't think there's anything out there for Gobert just yet. But if you know what its P plus R line is going to be, let me know. Anyway, Giannis at 44.5 points and rebounds. He's averaging 43 this season. Averaging 43. 44 points and rebounds in his last 10. And in his last 5 games, really has been kind of stinking it up here. 31.6 points and rebounds. So this prop is a prop that only has a 41% hit rate for the season. We could also take a look and see, does he get more points and rebounds at home? More points and rebounds on the road? We also want to check into how he performs on this 44.5 points and rebounds line in blowout situations, because this has all the makings to potentially be a blowout style game, especially if Turner and Nesmith and some of these guys are out for Indiana. Of course, we know Halliburton's already out for the Pacers. So let's look at this a little bit closer here. Let's put it under the magnifying glass, the lens, and take a closer look. So we know Giannis, 15 for 37, just a 41% hit rate. He's going to be playing on the road tonight, but let's first check his home numbers. 44.7 PR, points, rebounds, when he plays at home. That's 44.7 on average, 45.3 in his last 10, and 46 in his last 5 for a 47% hit rate, which means he's going to do bad or worse on the road. 41.2 points and rebounds when he plays on the road, guys. That's 6 for 18, just a 33% hit rate playing on the road. He'll be on the road again tonight. So if anything, I'm leaning more toward an under. I know it never feels good, never feels comfortable taking under on a superstar like Giannis or a guy like Luka, but in this case, Giannis has not performed well on the road. And if this game ends up blowing out, well, we got you covered. We're going to take a look at that. Games this season in which Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks have blown a team out. In other words, won by 10 or more points. Giannis is 4 for 11 in blowout scenarios. Games that the Milwaukee Bucks have won by 10 or more points. 4 for 11, just a 36% hit rate. That is a 45.9 points and rebounds per game average in blowouts. 44.9 in the last 10. 47.2 in the last 5. Most of that came from this game against Washington, where he had 65 points and rebounds. So could blow out. But yeah, if you're not wanting to take the under on a star like Giannis, I cannot blame you. Like Roy is saying, he's going to fade it. Nothing wrong with walking away from it either, my friend. You can always fade fading is always on the table, always an option. But very low hit rates for Giannis. You could see what he's done in blowouts. You could see what he's done on the road. Not great numbers. He has not played Indiana yet this season. We take a look at games that he's played against Indiana. These were from last season, so, take these for a grain of salt. But 40 PNR at Indiana, 39 PNR at Indiana. So he's 0 for his last two. These were games from last season, but he's 0 for 2 against Indiana last season while playing in Indiana. He's going to be playing in Indiana tonight. He did have 64 points and rebounds against the Pacers in a home game, the only home game that he played against Indiana in the last two seasons. So you can see 0 for 2 versus Indiana on the road, really bad hit rates on the road, really bad hit rates whenever it's a blowout. So I'm pretty sure that these games here were probably blowouts. Let me see. Yeah, both of these games versus Indiana were both blowouts. So you can see how he performed against the Pacers in 2 blowout games. Now, Sabonis was still on the Pacers at this time. 40 PNR against Sabonis and Turner, most likely. 39 PNR against Sabonis and Turner in the other game. So 0 for 2 on the road against Indiana last season, averaging just 39.5 PNR. Both of those games happened to both be blowouts as well. So there you go. I think that's a pretty exhaustive comprehensive look at Giannis Antetokounmpo's points and rebounds. It's either going to be an underplay or it's going to be a fade for me. I do not feel comfortable about going over. If you feel otherwise, please, by all means, don't let me talk you out of it. I'm here to present the facts, the stats, and the numbers for you to consider. So his projection tonight is 47 points and rebounds. So he is projected to go over 45 or 44.5 points and rebounds. However, this is not what you would call a plus EV play. Plus expected value, earned value. Some people use expected earned value. Anyway, plus EV play, it is not, because he is a betting favorite to go under at 44.5, meaning you're going against the odds. The odds are not in your favor. You're going against the grain. You're going against the way that the action's moving out on these sports books. Most people are betting the under here on Giannis at 44.5. So you got a projection that's suggesting you go over. You're getting people who are betting the under. And for me, it's going to be an under or a fade. So in this case, I feel like it's more of a fade, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let somebody else play with fire. I'm not going to do it, all right? Taking a look here, let's see what else we got. We got Everyday Fantasy coming through with a super chat. He's asking about Jalen Williams at 1.5 stocks. He's 4 out of his last 5, 9 out of his last 10. Guys, Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder has absolutely been on a tear when it comes to his stocks. Now, some of you guys might think we're talking about like the S&P 500 or some type of Wall Street, NASDAQ type stuff. No, we're talking about steals and blocks. You got to get hip with the lingo here. Steals and blocks, or stocks, a combination of them both. So Jalen Williams is the guy that Everyday Fantasy's asking about. Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe he's a rookie, right? Rookie. Guard / forward. I think he's been filling in a lot more at like a power forward position. But you can see over the last 5 games, he's covered in 4 out of his last 5. 2, 5, 2, and 4. The one game that he did not cover was against the Sacramento Kings, but he's averaging a very healthy 2.8 stocks. 2.8 steals and blocks. So let's take a bigger sample here, and we're going to go back to props.cash, pull up this Cleveland OKC game, and look at our guy, Jalen Williams. So Everyday Fantasy's already done a little bit of the homework, a little bit of the research for us. He knows that Jalen's 4 for 5 out of his last 5. He knows that he's 9 for 10 out of his last 10. So let's look at the last 30. We'll kind of go here and count these out real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of his last 14. So he's 12 of 14, 9 of 10, 4 of 5. So very, very consistent high hit rates over his last like 15 games or so, we'll call it, right? Gotta love what you're seeing out of Jalen Williams. Now, for me, stocks are not going to be something that are very splits dependent. In other words, I doubt that this guy cares whether he's playing at home or on the road, or the arena that he's in is going to impact how many steals and blocks that he gets. It's going to be something that's more matchup dependent, but at home, which is where he's playing tonight, he has cleared this in his last 6 straight home games, for what it's worth. Take that for what it's worth. And then on the road, he's cleared this in 6 of his last 7 games on the road. So he's going to be playing at home tonight, where he's got a nice little streak of 6 straight games going over 1.5 blocks and steals. Now, as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers go, we got to take a look at this DVP chart here and see what they've been doing. We'll look at the season numbers and the last 7 games to get you a more recent sample size. Again, we mentioned Jalen Williams, kind of positionless, but I would call him a forward more than anything. Obviously, you've got no Lou Dort in there tonight. Jalen Williams probably going to step into a larger role. Your projected starting lineup for the Oklahoma City Thunder as of right now is SGA, Josh Giddey in the backcourt, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, and then Kenrick. Am I saying that right? Kenrick Williams. So you got the Williams guys there in the front court. So Jalen Williams is probably going to be more of your power forward / small forward. So let's take a look at both positions here. The Cleveland Cavaliers, how many steals and blocks have they been giving up to opposing small forwards and opposing power forwards this season? Starting with small forwards, 1.5 steals per game and about 0.5 blocks. That's a half a block. So you combine the two, you're looking at about 2 stocks per game. That's not great numbers, right? You want to see those numbers flash green when you pull this chart up. So let's look at the power forward position. Maybe it's a little bit more green for power forwards. 1.25 steals, 1.21 blocks. That's a little bit better. That's 2.5, roughly 2.5 stocks per game to the power forward position. Let's check the last 7 games and see if these numbers get higher or lower. Are they allowing more stocks or less stocks? Well, more is the situation here. 1.9 steals for power forwards, 1.61 blocks for power forwards as well. So that number has definitely gone up, meaning they're giving up the ball, getting their shot blocked more than they were in the season averages, right? When you compare the last 7 games to the season averages. So that's good. And then what about small forwards? Well, kind of the same situation, seeing a little bit of an uptick, but not much, 1.59 steals and 0.58 blocks. So if Jalen Williams is more of your power forward, things are looking good here. Last 7 games, Cavs giving up more stocks than they have been for the season. So last but not least, I'm going to get your projection on this here. And we're going to take a look at the sportsbook lines for Jalen Williams. I've got him projected for 1.8 steals and blocks. That's closer to 2, as far as the projection goes, closer to 2 than it is 1, right? It's more than 1.5. So that's got to make you feel a little warm and fuzzy inside. Got to make you feel a little good about it. And then BetMGM's got him at minus 120, betting favorite to go over 1.5. So this kid definitely has been hot, definitely has been swiping and swatting the basketball recently. So if you want to keep riding the hot hand, I can't really blame you. I don't really see a reason not to. We're gambling, right? Anything can happen on any given night. Oh, Lord. You lockers. You guys who are lockers. I'm going to call you guys lockers. Hey, Ostapico 17. Maybe you go with the Jalen Williams steals and blocks. Maybe you go with Klay Thompson's points. You said you need one more pick. It's not a lock, but hey, Jalen Williams has been hitting at a high hit rate. 12 of his last 14 games, he's gotten at least 2 steals and blocks. So it looks like as good of a pick as any, okay? But I'm not going to call it a lock because I don't want to get your hopes up and then your feelings get hurt whenever he finds like 1 steal or 1 block and doesn't hit the over. But there you go. Carson coming through with a super chat. He's asking about Drew Holiday, Milwaukee Bucks point guard, and Bam Adebayo, rebounds and assists, and maybe a little bit of Fred Van Vliet points and assists. So let's start things off. Drew Holiday for his assists. Again, I'm assuming you're wanting to go over on all these, Carson. I don't know that I've ever seen you post a pick with a question attached where you're looking to take the under, but let's assume you're wanting to go over or more on Drew Holiday at 7 assists. Okay, we got that one locked in. You're also asking about Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. His rebounds and assists, which has been kind of a popular play lately. He's going up against Orlando tonight. So there's Bam Adebayo. And then your last one was Fred Van Vliet. A lot of talks about Fred VanVleet possibly being on his way out of Toronto. Will he resign? Will he not? I don't know. It remains to be seen. Somebody else was asking about Bam Adebayo too, and this is, I guess, for you as well, Adele. I see Adele asking about Adebayo's rebounds and assists. So we'll talk about Bam, and this will kind of cover both Carson and Adele's super chat partially. So let's get into it real quick. Starting with Fred VanVleet, since we already have him pulled up here. He's going up against Golden State tonight. Points and assists for Fred VanVleet is the option that Carson is looking to go with. So let's do some research here for Carson and get him his money's worth for that super chat. Thanks again, Carson. So Fred VanVleet this season at 25.5 points and assists. We've seen him hit this in 19 of 40. That is a sub 50% hit rate, which typically scares me away a little bit. I'd like to see a guy do, a little bit better than that, be a little more consistent. 48%'s not great. But I will say this, the last 10 games for Fred VanVleet, he's improved his season average of 25.4 up to 27.6. And then especially in the last 5 games, you've seen that average really start to skyrocket. 35 points and assists in his last 5 games. And he's already had one game against Golden State this season where he had 30 points plus assists, 30 points plus assists against Golden State in their previous matchup. So we are getting him at 25.5. By default, PropStatCash had him at 26.5, which leads me to believe that we're getting some value here on this play, meaning we're paying 1 point and assist less for Fred VanVleet here on PrizePicks. But let's look at this one a little bit closer. VanVleet's going to be on the road tonight. We can take a look at the split situation for him. At home, 26 points and assists per game. On the road, 24.7. So he hasn't been so sharp on the road this season as he has been at home playing in Toronto. 8 for 18 though, 44% hit rate. Again, I wish that was higher. 44 is kind of low. You know me, I like looking for 60 or above. That's pretty sweet when you can get 60 or above. We're not getting that here with Fred VanVleet, unfortunately. But he has covered this in 3 out of his last 4 games that he's played on the road. Yeah, 3 out of his last 4. And then we talked about the matchup against Golden State. He played Golden State at home. This was December 18th of this season. 30 points and assists in that game. So he is 1 for 1 against Golden State. So I guess he's got that going for him anyways. Taking a look at the DVP here. Last 7 games. Getting you a recent 7-game sample of how the Golden State Warriors have been defending against the point guard position. Starting with the points, they're giving up just 23 points per game, guys, to opposing point guards in their last 7 games. That is the 6th fewest. The 6th fewest in the last 7 games. So they seem to be defending the point guard position a little bit better here in their last 7 games than they have been for the season. Now, also worth mentioning, giving up 9.38 assists per game. So maybe instead of taking the points and assists on Fred VanVleet, maybe you just go with the assists here because they are giving up a healthy amount of those 7th most or 7th highest assists per game average to point guards in their last 7 games. You notice that Fred VanVleet's assists are sitting at 6 today. So this could be an option rather than going with points and assists. Maybe you go with just the assists. Let's take a look at the hit rates for just the assists when he plays on the road. So he's 8 for 18 on PA, points and assists. And then the assists, he's dropped at least 6 or more dimes in 10 out of 18, 56% hit rate. So he does have a slightly higher hit rate at 6 or more dimes when he plays on the road, like he will be playing on the road tonight. Against Golden State, he did have 8 assists against them as well. So again, if you're wanting to take maybe just the assists, he could end up with exactly 6, could go for as many as 8 like we seen him do back in December of this season. So that might be the safer way to go if you don't feel like Fred VanVleet's shot's going to be falling for him on the road against this Warriors team. Moving on here, we're going to get you a projection on both the points and assists and just the assists. Using the action projection tool here, we've got him, Fred VanVleet, projected for 26.7 points and assists. That is 1.2 higher than his line at 25.5. Guys, on all sportsbooks right now, he is listed at 26.5 points and assists, but worth noting, they are betting the under here, meaning they don't think he's going to go for 27 points and assists, but maybe 26 or fewer points and assists. So if you're wanting to take the over at 25.5, well, it doesn't look like a terrible move, being that all these lines makers have him at 26.5. Well, what about the assists on their own? He's projected for 6.7. And then he's at 6.5 on all sports books, but is a betting favorite to go under. Minus 135, minus 140 on some of these books. So good projection, more than 6. Ends up in a tie or a push. It doesn't necessarily kill you. You don't lose money. You don't lose the pick or the bet. You just end up making a little bit less than you would, I guess you could say. So maybe Fred VanVleet's safer option for you could be just going with the assist versus the points and assists. But there you go. Hopefully that kind of helps you out with that pick. You also asked about Bam Adebayo's rebounds and assists. Of course, Bam Adebayo has been doing a very good job covering both the rebounds and assists when you combine the two. He's at 12.5 again today, going up against the Orlando Magic. Of course, the Magic have a lot of long, tall, big bodies in that lineup. We've got a number of different guys who are at least 6'10" or taller. Just in our starting lineup alone, you're looking at Franz Wagner, 6'10", Paolo Banchero, 6'10", Wendell Carter Jr., 6'10", so a lot of length. And then coming off the bench, you'll have guys like Mo Bamba, he's a 7-footer. Bol, who's a 7-footer. I mean, just a lot of length and athleticism. Mo Wagner, another guy who's climbing up there around 7 feet tall. So a lot of guys for Bam Adebayo to kind of compete for rebounds against. But let's take a look here and see how Bam Bam has done at 12.5 rebounds and assists this season. You want to talk about a prop that's got a lot of consistency here. Well, this one's hitting at a 61% hit rate. That's 27 for 44, 61%. We take a look at the last 30 games here, 20 of 30, 67%. If you kind of carve out these last, like, not last, but if you carve out this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game little sample here and just kind of look at these, well, he's hit the over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 out of his last 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 17 out of his last 22. That's very consistent for Bam Adebayo. You can see his averages here, last 30, 13.2, last 10, 13.6, and last 5, 13.8. So we're starting to see that average of rebounds and assists per game climb from the last 30 to the last 10 to the last 5, right? It's trending in an upward hockey stick style fashion. So Bam Adebayo has been doing a pretty darn good job here. Now, he has not faced Orlando this season, so we're not sure this season what we're going to get Bam versus Orlando, but we can take a look at what he did in last season's matchups. Faced the Orlando Magic once, ended up with 15 rebounds and assists in one home game played against Orlando. So that's the only previous matchup in the last 2 seasons that we can reference. On 2 days rest, Bam Adebayo's got 2 days of rest on him, meaning he should be well rested, ready to play. On 2 days rest this season, he is 4 for 8. That's 50% on 2 days rest. And playing at home, he is 3 for 5, 60%. All right, so he likes his rest. I think it's safe to say he likes his rest. One other thing that we could look at here before we move on, we could take a look at the home splits for him. At home, he averages 13.5 rebounds and assists. Great hit rates when he plays at home, 16 for 23. In fact, 70% hit rate. So we talked about liking 60%. Well, here you're getting 70% for Bam Adebayo when he plays at home. So love those hit rates there. I think you just kind of fire this one up and keep riding it until the wheels fall off. He doesn't hit every game, though. Okay? He does not hit every game. He's not perfect. He is still human and can possibly miss. But very consistent at 70% in a large sample size of games played at home. Take a look at the DVP here. We got Bam, who's going to be your center for the Miami Heat. We want to take a look at the rebounds given up by the Orlando Magic in the last 7 games to centers. 15.4, very healthy top 10 number, meaning they are right in the top 10 in the last 7 games in rebounds given up to centers, so that's good. And then they're giving up about 4 assists per game, so you kind of combine those 2 figures, and you're talking about 20 rebounds and assists given up to the center position. course, Bam's not the only center on the team. He's going to have to share some of those 20 rebounds and assists with whoever's going to be coming off the bench backing him up. I don't know if that's going to be Dwayne Dedman, Highsmith, or what's the other guy? Orlando Robinson? Isn't he with Miami? Anyway, somebody's going to be coming in relief of Bam Adebayo, so he's going to share some of those 20 rebounds and assists that Orlando gives up on average to centers in their last 7 games. So don't expect him to get all of those 20 that they're giving up, but he will get the lion's share, right? He will be the dominant force in the middle for the Miami Heat. So let's get your projection. Adebayo is projected for 12.9 rebounds and assists against Orlando tonight. We are starting to see some good juice and good traction on the over, anywhere from -130 upward to -135 betting favorite to cover this 12.5. So super consistent, as about of a consistent as a prop as you can ask for. So for Carson, who asked about this one, you got a little bit more information. You got a little bit more ammunition now to feel comfortable taking the over on Bam's rebounds and assists. And the same goes for you, Adele. So hopefully that helps you out. So take Bam Adebayo. No, it's not a lock, DSK Papa. If it's a lock, I'll let you know, and we won't know that until he actually gets it done. Then we can say, okay, that was a lock, right? That was a lock. When he actually gets 13 of them, then we'll say it's a lock. But until then, hey, Bam could go out there and sprain his ankle in the first 3 minutes like Luka Doncic last night, and then your lock is broken. So there you go. Bam's looking pretty good, though. And then the last one you asked about was Drew Holiday's assist. Drew sitting at 7 dimes. I'm assuming, again, that you're wanting to go over on this prop because Drew Holiday's hit 7 or more assists in 4 out of his last 5 games. He only had 3 against Denver, though. I believe that game ended up, did that game blow out? I'm trying to remember if that game blew out or not. I want to say Denver sat damn near everybody that they had in their starting lineup. And I want to say Milwaukee might have blown them out. I don't remember, but I do remember that Denver sat a bunch of their guys in that game. Nonetheless, Drew Holiday's rocking 7 assists tonight. This is about as healthy as the Milwaukee Bucks skilled position players, we'll call it, like point guards and forwards, have been in a long time, meaning you're getting Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Grayson Allen will be in there. Javon Carter will be in the mix. You're going to have Pat Connaughton in the fold. Maybe you get a little bit of George Hill coming off of the bench, but you're going to have a very healthy Milwaukee Bucks roster tonight. So their issues mainly are in the front court with power forward and center, with Bobby Portis and Ibaka sitting out. But nonetheless, at 7 or more assists, we've seen Drew Holiday record 7 dimes in 21 of 37 games this season. That is a 57% hit rate. Just looking at the last 10 games here, Drew Holiday with 7 or more dimes in 7 out of 10. So he's done a really good job of hitting at least 7. And then in some of these games, he goes for 9, 10, or 11 assists. So he does have upside here. The big issue for me is blowout risk, right? We talked about that before this game, especially if Indiana sits Miles Turner, Andrew Nesmith. They're already without Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, and then they're already without Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, it could be a very thin Indiana roster. They're already outmatched when it comes to this Milwaukee Bucks team. Indiana, not really going to hang around with Milwaukee for very long. So hopefully Drew Holiday ends up playing enough minutes to get you at least 7 assists tonight. One thing that we could do, though, to kind of answer that question is like what we did with Giannis. In games in which Milwaukee has won by at least 10 points, Drew Holiday's had 7 or more assists in just 5 out of 12. 5 out of 12 in blowout situations. Milwaukee winning by 10 plus points. That's 42%. That's not good. But I will mention, one of those games was against tonight's opponent. They blew the Indiana Pacers out in that game. And also in that game, Drew Holiday did record 11 dimes. So he is 1 for 1 against Indiana. That game was a blowout. So at least you kind of know what to expect. And that it's not impossible for Drew Holiday to find at least 7 or more assists, even in a blowout situation against Indiana. So There you go. As far as dimes go, home and road splits. At home, Drew Holiday, 7.1 dimes per game. On the road, 7.6. So he does actually average slightly more assists on the road. The hit rates are 12 for 18 at 7 or better, 67%. We've seen that average 7.6 on the road this season go up to 8.3 in the last 10 and even 8.6 in his last 5. So he's hit the over 7 or more times. And a very high hit rate here. Last 10 road games, 8 for 10. Last 5 road games, 4 for 5. So he's been doing a pretty good job here on the road in recent games, dropping dimes. So slightly more assists on the road than when he's at home. So that's a good thing for you tonight. Taking a look at the DVP here, we want to see how many assists that the Pacers are giving up to point guards over the last 7 games, and they do rank very highly here, folks. 9.7 assists per game given up to point guards in the last 7. That is the 6th most or 6th highest assists per game average in that span. So you are getting a good DVP or defense versus position sort of matchup here against this Pacers squad. So the last thing to do is to get you a projection here for Drew Holiday. He is 7 assists on PrizePicks, projected for 6.8 on your favorite projection site, which is Action Labs. And then at 7.5 on all sportsbooks, guys, a lot of juice coming in on the under. Minus 145, minus 155. So you can see why PrizePicks had to bump him down to 7 because there's just too much action, too much juice coming in at 7.5. So they had to do what they had to do to protect themselves and bumped him down to 7. I think for me, though, I would take a shot on the over at 7. Maybe he does tie. Maybe he does push. Maybe he ends up on exactly 7. Again, not the worst case in the world if that happens, but maybe he's going to bounce back tonight after a low assist game of just 3 against Denver. All right. So there you go. Again, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate all that. And we will get to Adele. Adele also leaving a super chat. He's asking about Edwards. Ant Edwards. Points plus assists. He also mentioned Bam Adebayo, which we just talked about. The rebounds and assists for Bam looking good. And then he's talking about Jordan Poole points and assists. Ooh, Jordan Poole. Points and assists. You took one of the picks that I really, really like. That's all right. That's all right. It's all right. We'll talk about it. Ant Edwards, starting with him, points and assists. I don't know what the min means in parentheses. Maybe you can clarify for me. You're worried about his minutes? Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, Minnesota. Maybe you're asking about that. Anyway, yeah, I think I know who you mean. Ant-Man, right? This guy, 32.5 points and assists. Gotcha. And then Jordan Poole, for sure. Poole's going to be one of the ones that you should definitely consider at 25.5 points and assists. So let's look at both of these guys. Anthony Edwards taking on Memphis tonight. Jordan Poole taking on Toronto. Two of the most fun games, I would think, on tonight's NBA slate. We'll start things off here with Jordan Poole. Guys, I've already looked into this one. I can tell you that you're going to like what you see here. Jordan Poole has been a model of consistency in the points plus assist department. I think I like this even more if Andrew Wiggins ends up sitting out. With no Wiggins, that kind of opens up doors for a guy like Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry to take on even more of the scoring load. But starting here with Jordan Poole this season, averaging 25.6 points and assists, 28.4 in his last 10 games, going even higher here. Last 5 games, 29. And then the last time he faced Toronto, he had 49 points plus assists. I'm not sure who was in, who was out for Golden State in that game. I'm sure Poole had a little bit more of a green light if some of those Warriors players were out for that game. But nonetheless, 27 for 48, 56%. And then things really start to get sweet when you take a look at what he's done at home this season. At home, which is where he's going to be playing tonight, 25.6 points and assists at home. Look at the last 15 to 20 games that he's played at home. Last 10, 9 for 10 at home. Fantastic. That's a 90% hit rate. His last 30, he's 14 of 24. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of his last 10. He's also hitting 12 out of his last 14. 12 out of his last 14 home games, he's gone over. So love the hit rates there for Jordan Poole. He should be in a really nice spot tonight against this Toronto Raptors squad. So kind of think about how the matchups work out, right? If Gary Trent Jr. is guarding Jordan Poole, I think he's probably got the best matchup of all. OG and or Scotty Barnes on Klay Thompson. Then you got Fred VanVleet probably going to be guarding Steph Curry. Draymond, not really an offensive factor. Not sure if Wiggins is going to be playing or not. So maybe Jordan Poole's in for a good night tonight. I know some people are on Klay Thompson and his points, but don't sleep on Jordan Poole. He looks like a good option for you as well. So let's take a look here at the DVP situation for the Toronto Raptors. They're going against Jordan Poole. Poole's going to be your shooting guard. I think Klay's kind of more of a small forward. So Toronto giving up a healthy 24.3 points and 5.1 assists per game. That's good for about 29 to 30 points and assists to shooting guards. So he needs 26. They're giving up about 30 per game. Not too worried about that. That looks pretty good. And then last but not least, projection time. Jordan Poole's projected for 26.6 points and assists. That is 1.1 more than his line at 25.5 today. Guys, we're seeing some juice on the over on DraftKings, minus 125. BetMGM, minus 130. And then on FanDuel, we're seeing him at 26.5 points and assists. And we're getting minus odds at 26.5 on the over, which is good. Like if he was at 26.5 when we were seeing plus odds at 26.5, I'd be a little bit worried. But we are getting some minus odds at 26.5 on the over. So point higher on FanDuel. Hopefully FanDuel and their lines makers are good at what they do. They seem to think Poole's going to end up with 26 or 27 points and assists tonight, which bodes well since we're getting him at 25.5 at a discount here on PrizePicks. So I think that looks pretty sweet. We got some new subscribers. Bradley White, thanks for subscribing. Global Steven, thank you for the sub. And Darren or Daron Morse, thank you for the sub as well. Guys, we're on our way to 8,000. If there's somebody here who's watching or somebody in your life that should be watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Get them to hit the subscribe button. I'd love to end the week on a strong, high note. 8,000 subscribers by the end of the day would be fantastic, would be amazing. And I appreciate everybody who already has subscribed. I appreciate all those who slap that like button for me daily. And I appreciate all of you who get in the comment section and comment your favorite picks, props, or plays that hopefully help other people out and lead to more wins. So Jordan Poole, yes, more for Jordan Poole's points and assists. I like that. And then last but not least, your other guy was Anthony Edwards. He's also on your radar for points and assists tonight. I think Ant-Man's in a pretty good spot. I'll say this, if Rudy Gobert, for whatever reason, happens to sit tonight, I think Anthony Edwards' rebounds become very attractive and maybe potentially his points and rebounds. So if Gobert is out, we already know Steven Adams, is out for the Memphis Grizzlies on the other side of that game. Anthony Edwards has shown a propensity to grab more boards without Rudy Gobert in the mix. So keep an eye on that. You could go Ant-Man rebounds or Ant-Man PR, points and rebounds, if Gobert is out. Not sure if he's going to be in or out at this moment, but that's another one to keep on your radar. Memphis at Minnesota. Let's talk about it. We're talking about points and assists here. Boop. Anthony Edwards, guy who's been playing very good ball. There were some concerns because he had a couple of bad games. They were wondering, is his hip feeling kind of some type of way, because I guess he has been dealing with some general pain or something in his hip. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't even know ants had hips, but apparently ants have hips. That's an insect joke for those of you who are here for the entertainment value. I make insect jokes too. Anthony Edwards, points and assists last 10 games. Let's look at them. 32.5, 6 out of 10, 60%. 32.6 is his average. That's slightly more than the 32.5 last 5 games, last 3 in particular. 48 against Houston, 36 against Houston, and then 42 against New Orleans. So he's kind of had some squishy matchups, right? Some easy, favorable matchups in his last few games. Now, I will say this. He's had some success against this Memphis Grizzlies squad. I don't know what it is. but he seems to play well, at least this season, against the Memphis Grizzlies. And they might be without Desmond Bane tonight. I was a little worried that they would put Dylan Brooks on Anthony Edwards in these previous games. Dylan Brooks, pretty feisty, scrappy little defender, right? If they did, it did not show up in the box score, meaning Anthony Edwards overcame whoever that was that they put on him. He played well. Just taking a quick peek again, last season they played each other quite a few times. Anthony Edwards did not play so great against the Memphis Grizzlies last season. So again, that was kind of also feeding into my pessimism that Anthony Edwards would be playing well against Memphis this season. So this is why you don't want to put too much faith in what has happened in a previous season or seasons, right? It's cool to look at it. It's cool to kind of take a glance, see if a guy's like dominating time after time against a particular team. But, this season is definitely more important. What has happened this season is more important than what has happened in previous seasons. But overall, guys, 5 for 12. Again, a lot of these games were from last season. This season, though, more importantly, 34 points and assists in both matchups versus Memphis. So 2 for 2, and one game was at home and one game was on the road for Anthony Edwards. Now, speaking of those splits, Anthony Edwards going to be playing at home tonight. At home, 29.9, away, 28.8. So he's averaging more points and more assists playing at home. And you can see what he's done here in his last 10 games or so. 7 of his last 10 home games he has gone over. That's 70%. We like 70%. And we talked about the last 5 being very good here. Recent games for Anthony Edwards, 35.8 in his last 5 home games, hitting the over in 4 out of his last 5. Good for 80% in his last 5 home games. So I think Anthony Edwards, that little insect that he is, all right, Ant-Man, I think he's feeling fine lately. Seems like he's on the mend. He's doing well. So shout out to Anthony Edwards. DVP check real quick. Playing shooting guard, Anthony Edwards going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis giving up about 24.2 points per game and about 6.4 assists per game to opposing shooting guards. When you combine those two figures, you're looking at about 30 to 31 points and assists. It's a little low, but we've seen Ant-Man get it done in 2 matchups versus Memphis. So I'm not too concerned with his ability to overcome 32.5. I think that looks pretty sweet. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to look at too while we're here. We talked about his points and rebounds and or just his rebounds. Games without Rudy Gobert. I want to take a look at that real quick. We'll take Rudy Gobert out and we'll take Karl Anthony Towns out. This is just in case Rudy Gobert gets ruled out. Anthony Edwards rebounds, if they're at 5.5, you can see he's hit the over without Gobert and Towns in 6 out of 7 games. He's covered the rebounds at 5.5. So if Gobert happens to get ruled out, we know Towns is already out. Keep this one on your short list tonight, okay? Keep that one in the memory bank. 6 of 7 this season on 5.5 boards without Gobert and Towns. Now, we also mentioned the points and rebounds. Slightly lower hit rate there. 4 out of 7. Okay, so points and rebounds could also be a look. But mainly, don't punch the microphone. Mainly the rebounds for me, folks. Mainly the rebounds for me if Gobert is out, okay? So that's another way to play Ant if there is no Gobert. Getting you a projection here on Anthony Edwards. We got him projected for 32.9. That's higher than 32.5. He is at 32.5 on most of the major sports books. Slight betting favorite on DraftKings and BetMGM to go over. FanDuel, kind of like Jordan Poole, FanDuel's got him up at a point higher at 33.5. And much like JP, seeing some minus odds on the over at a point higher at 33.5, okay? So that's good. Getting some value here on PrizePicks. So yeah, I think Anthony Edwards' points and assists are A-okay by me. I think him and Poole look good. Very good. So hopefully that covers your super chat. I think it does. Mr. Adele, we already talked Bam Adebayo's rebounds and assists. We covered Poole and Edwards PA. So there you go, my friend. Thank you again. Appreciate your support daily. Daniel Dowdell coming through with a super chat. He's got Steph Curry over on points and Poole fantasy. We have not talked any fantasy projections today, so let's do so right now. Starting things off here, though, with Stephen Stephen Curry, 27.5 points going up against this Toronto Raptors squad. He's got Curry going for more than 27.5 points. He's also liking Jordan Poole's fantasy, which is at 32.5. All right. So we got a couple of Warriors props to take a look at. Let's start with Jordan Poole real quick. Jordan Poole, we're going to go to StatMuse. Guys, if you're not using StatMuse, it's free to use. It's a good way to do some player prop research. It does require a little bit of how-to or savvy when it comes to searching for certain stats and what you want to know. So for fantasy score, what I typically do is go Jordan Poole, and then I would go FanDuel points logs this season. And this should get you what you want, which are some bar graphs showing Jordan Poole's success rate at 32.5 fantasy score. We've seen him go over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of his last 5, which is exactly what PrizePicks shows here. Okay, so good job, PrizePicks. You got some accurate information for us to lean on. He did miss this game, 23.9 against the Chicago Bulls. Prior to that, though, covers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of his last 12 games. 11 of 12, he has gone over 32.5 fantasy points. Against the Raptors, no need to really look into it. I know he covered against the Raptors 52.2 big fantasy points. I think that was the highest fantasy output he's had all season long. So that was this game, December 18th, 2022, 52.2 fantasy in that one. Absolutely killed it. Again, some of the Warriors players in that game were out. In fact, while we're here, we can actually pull that game log and let you know who Golden State actually had in and who the Toronto Raptors had in. So that game was Draymond Green, Kevon Looney. Then they had Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Dante DiVincenzo. So missing from the lineup that day was Steph Curry, who will be playing tonight. Andrew Wiggins was not playing either. So it's going to be a different cast of characters potentially for Golden State tonight. We're waiting on Andrew Wiggins' injury updates. He is listed as a game time decision. Not sure if he's going to play or not, but they should have Draymond at center. Maybe Wiggins at power forward, Klay small forward, Poole at shooting guard, and then Steph Curry at point guard. So no Curry, no Wiggins equaled way more attempts. Jordan Poole led the team in field goal attempts with 23. 14 for 23 shooting, 43 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists, and 1 steal. So yeah, of course he went over his fantasy score, right? And then on the Toronto Raptors side, they did not have a full complement of players either. They had Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Scotty Barnes, but noticeably absent OG Anunoby, noticeably absent Gary Trent Jr. There you go. It came to me. Sorry, brain fart. So no OG Anunoby, no Gary Trent Jr. for that previous matchup either. So this is not apples to apples tonight. So we cannot just simply look at what Jordan Poole did against Toronto and be like, oh, well, he blew him out of the water, 52 fantasy points. No, it's going to be a little different tonight. A little bit harder situation for him, right, to reach that fantasy score of 32.5. But he has been getting it done. All right, despite the fact that Golden State's healthy, they've been running their death lineup. Dre at center, Wiggins, Klay, Poole, Curry. All right, so you kind of get an idea of what to expect here. He has been clearing the over in a lot of his more recent games. Now, one other thing you could do, you could go Jordan Poole FanDuel points logs this season at home, because he is going to be playing at home tonight. Yes, at home. So home games, he has cleared this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games at home. We back it up a little bit further here. He missed here, barely missed there, hits that one, missed that one, hits that one, missed that one, barely gets over there. So he's got some really close calls, some where he's barely getting over or barely going under in that little cluster of games. But safe to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games playing at home. That looks pretty good for Jordan Poole tonight. And then the Toronto Raptors, we can take a look at how many fantasy points per game they've been giving up to shooting guards in their last 7 games. Toronto, 41.5. He needs 32.6. They're giving up 41.5, which kind of puts them, right in the middle of the pack, kind of an average defense when it comes to giving up fantasy points in the last 7 games to shooting guards. So there's a little bit of a rundown for you on Jordan Poole. I do have a projection for Jordan Poole. He is projected at this moment for 33.9 fantasy points. Of course, if Wiggins is ruled out, projections will probably go up a bit for Jordan Poole and the rest of these Golden State Warrior starters. But, what we have to deal with right now, Jordan Poole, 33.89, nearly 34 fantasy points. So he looks like he's in a pretty darn good spot. Which brings us to our next guy, Stephen Curry. Steph, 27.5 points. This is a line that he's cleared in 3 out of his last 5 while he's averaging 30 points per game. We want to see more, though, more than the last 5, and that's where Props.cash really sort of helps out with some of this research and makes it quick and easy. It's a lot easier to do this than it is to use StatMuse, let me just tell you. So 27.5 points. He's 19 for 33 this season, 58%. We've seen a lot of, we'll call it marbling here over the last 20 games or so. What I mean by marbling, well, when you go to the butcher or wherever you buy your steaks from, right? You get that nice, for me, it's a bone, probably a bone-in ribeye, right? And you're looking at that bone-in ribeye in the case and you're trying to decide which one you want. Well, I like a bone-in ribeye with a lot of marbling, meaning a good fat content and meat content, a good fat to meat ratio. Well, we're seeing a lot of marbling here on Steph Curry's logs. God, that's making me hungry. I want a steak now. I want a steak. Anybody else want a steak out there? We got any steak eaters? But yeah, you're seeing a lot of marbling here in Steph Curry's points logs over the last 20 games or so. So a lot of green and red, green and red, green and red, green and red. Like it's back and forth, seesaw. One day he hits, the next day he misses, So lack of consistency is what I'm seeing here. Lack of consistency in the last 20 games. 30 games or so. 16 for 30 in his last 30. That's 53%. I wish it was just a little bit more green in here where we would get little clusters or pockets of green. We're not getting that a whole lot. It's very rare that he goes back to back and hits in multiple games in a row. So it's been kind of hard to trust Steph Curry, and he's got a lot of weapons around him who are finally healthy. Klay Thompson's starting to get more minutes. Poole obviously is doing his thing. If Wiggins is in, he's another guy that Curry has to kind of contend with for shots. So not trusting him quite as much here recently, but we could take a look at what he's done against Toronto. He has not played the Raptors. He was one of the guys that was out in the Raptors game. The last time he played Toronto, he only had 12 points. Again, this was from last season. Played over 37 minutes, managed just 12 points in a home game against the Raptors. So that was last season, but still did not even come close to 27, 28 points in that game. This season, what has he been doing at home versus on the road? 29.3 is his average at home. That dips down a little bit to 28.9, meaning he is not scoring quite as well at home as he is on the road. On the road, 29.8, higher hit rate, higher points per game. So the last 10 home games or so have been kind of ugly here for Steph Curry. 4 for his last 10 at home, just a 40% hit rate. Not as consistent as our guy Jordan Poole on those points and assists that we looked at earlier. So 4 for 10. All right, averaging 25.6 points per game. So for me right now, I'm probably not in on Curry. I think your top options are going to be Poole and Klay, but it's Steph Curry. He's one of the best of all time. Anything can really happen on any given night, which has been the case here throughout the NBA season. But nonetheless, Toronto against point guards, last 7 games, giving up about 25.3 points per game. All right, so just kind of average when it comes to points allowed to the point guard position in the last 7. So now that you know what you know about Steph Curry and his inconsistent ways lately, he is projected for 28.3 points, folks, but at 27.5 on all major sports books, we're starting to see a betting favorite to go under. Starting to see some juice, some action coming in on the under, meaning the betting public not feeling so confident here about Steph Curry. So they're taking the under on him. So I definitely like Poole's fantasy score more than I think I like Curry's points. So if I had to rank those, it'd be Poole's fantasy points above Curry's actual points for me. What do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. You rocking with Poole's fantasy points or Curry's points? Do you like one more or less than the other? So there you go, Daniel. Hopefully, Mr. Dowdell, Double D, that helps you out. Top 10 highlights coming through with the big super chat. Thank you for that, my friend. He says CJ Curry with the 3 from half court, and the crowd goes wild. Love that. Love that. Hey, can you give me 5 players who may hit the over on their fantasy score? Ooh, well, we talked about one. I mean, Poole would definitely be somebody on my short list after seeing what we saw for him. So you could start there with Jordan Poole. So now you only need 4 more fantasy score options. What do we think, chat? Maybe chat can help me out with this a little bit. Any other players for fantasy score that you guys are on tonight? Anthony Edwards has been pretty good his last few games. 70.2, 51.1, 47.7. So possibly Anthony Edwards tonight. I think he's also cleared this in both of his games going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. Let me look at that. Anthony Edwards, FanDuel points logs versus Memphis this season. Yeah, he is, he's 1 for 2. He had 63.1 fantasy points in his last game against them. 29 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. My guy had 8 stocks against the Memphis Grizzlies last. 8 stocks versus, okay. I don't expect him to have 8 stocks tonight. That's huge. That's 24 fantasy points just on steals and blocks alone. Huge. Okay. Well, he's 1 for 2, but he has covered in his last 3 games. So maybe Anthony Edwards fantasy score. Jaren Jackson Jr., if he's getting some steals and blocks, he can potentially go over his fantasy score. I know it's looking kind of ugly here, though. Who else? Who else are you guys liking for fantasy? Help me and help top 10 highlights out with some fantasy options. We like Jalen Williams to go for over steals and blocks, so I'm assuming his fantasy score is going to be somewhat decent. No Lou Dort tonight, so maybe we see Jalen Williams take on a little bit more of a scoring role. Lou Dort's kind of been like that third scoring option behind SGA, obviously, Josh Giddey. So maybe Jalen Williams without Lou Dort tonight. Let me look at that. Let's see. Jalen Williams, FanDuel points, logs without Lou Dort. Do we have any games? Oh, we got a lot of games. A lot of games. Ooh. Is this right? No, that can't be right. How do you spell this? How do you spell Lou? Is it Lou Gentz? Lou Gentz Dort? There we go. He's got 1 game without Lou Dort this season. This was from December 7th, 17.1 FanDuel points. Played 26 minutes, had 7, 3, 3, and 1. So that's not looking too sexy for me. Fred VanVleet, he's got the ability to get you some steals and blocks. Yeah, Xavier Trent. Just mentioned Fred VanVleet. Cool. So we're syncing up on that one. Fred VanVleet, 38.5 fantasy score. He's 5 out of his last 5. That could be an option for you. Going up against Golden State tonight. If Fred VanVleet's swiping and swatting some shots, he can absolutely get you some FanDuel points. Let's go look at FanDuel point logs for Fred VanVleet this season real quick. We know he's 5 out of his last 5. He's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He drops off down here to 15.2. What about against Golden State? He had 39.8 FanDuel points or fantasy points against Golden State. So he did clear the over in his only game against Golden State this season. So 39.8 for VanVleet. So you could go there. I mean, that would be a decent option. Let's get a projection on VanVleet. I got Fred VanVleet 40.68 FanDuel points, fantasy points. So, yeah, 38.5 on PrizePicks, projected for 40.68. I like that. That looks like a pretty big differential or gap. So that one looks good. Somebody's mentioning Gary Harris. I've been taking some Gary Harris fantasy, and it has been coming through for me. But he is playing Miami tonight, and that's a little bit concerning. But, yeah, Harris had a good game against Indiana in his last one, 26.2. I'm just going to pull a projection. 14.3 versus 13.5. That's okay. It's decent. There was another guy, Scotty Barnes, I want to say. He's been kind of hit or miss. Maybe Scotty Barnes, though. He kind of is your Swiss Army knife style player. Gets a little bit of everything. I got him projected for 38. He's at 35.5 on PrizePicks. So, that's a combination of points, rebounds, and assists, steals and blocks and turnovers. So that's how they come up with these fantasy score projections. 38, though, is pretty good versus 35.5. So maybe Barnes. Draymond Green is another guy. There you go. I like that one. 46.2. Wait, no Draymond. Is Draymond ruled out? L5 Union, you said no Draymond. Is he out tonight? Please tell me Draymond didn't get ruled out. He's in. Well, why are you saying no Draymond? Don't be scaring me like that. Giving my ass a heart attack. I'm too big for that, man. Y'all won't see me on Monday if you start saying stuff like no Draymond. Draymond Green's projection, 33.67. He's at 30.5. Guys, that is a 3.1 fantasy score difference. So Draymond, definitely another one. Ever since they've been running this death lineup, Draymond Green's really started to pick up the pace, it looks like. I think the last 4 games or so, they've run that death lineup. So 46.2, 41.1, 34.7, and 41.1. So Draymond Green, add him to your list. I like what we see so far, though. Fred VanVleet, I mean, shoot, we might as well build a freaking same-game parlay the way we're going. We got Green over fantasy, Fred VanVleet over fantasy, Poole over fantasy. OG, when he is getting steals and blocks, can potentially run up the fantasy score for you, but he's been a little inconsistent lately. But I think those 3 are looking kind of sweet right now. Wendell, maybe Wendell versus Boston, or versus Miami rather, and Bam Adebayo. Let's check in on Wendell's projection real quick. 27.7. He's at 28.5 on PrizePicks. Nah, that's a fade for me. That's a pass. Got to pass that one. Tyler Herro, maybe. Jimmy Butler, maybe. I feel like one of those guys are going to go off probably against Orlando tonight. Franz Wagner, 28.5. He's been decent. He did burn me against Indiana. He was at 31.5 that night. I took the over. He turns it over with like 1 minute to go and goes under his fantasy score by like 0.4 or 0.5 or whatever. But Wagner's about as consistent as it gets when it comes to Orlando Magic players. So at 28.5 fantasy, possibly. It really just depends on who they put on him. He is projected for 30 though versus 28.5. So that's 1.5 fantasy points different. You guys had mentioned some of these Milwaukee Bucks guys like Grayson Allen. I'm not in on that unless we go first half only. And Grayson can be a little bit shaky for first half only. And we know that Giannis obviously is going to be healthy. Chris Middleton will be out there tonight. So I'm not so big on Grayson Allen. Lopez against Indiana should be a good matchup, but Lopez has just not been hitting that fantasy score lately. So yeah, I mean, D'Angelo Russell, he's been pretty solid. I think Russell could be in a good spot tonight. 40.2, 37.2, 46.1, 36.1. He's going up against Memphis tonight. I know Memphis has been giving up quite a few actual points in their last several games to point guards. Yeah, they're giving up 26.7 points, 7.5 rebounds, and over 11 assists. That's good for 56.63. So there you go. Memphis giving up the most fantasy points per game to point guards in their last 7 games. So D'Angelo Russell at 35.5. Let's see what we got for a projection on him. Great matchup, though, for D'Lo. Yeah, he's projected for 36. I'm willing to take a shot on this. I know the projection's only like a 0.5 different projection, but with the way that Memphis has been guarding opposing guards, I think D'Angelo Russell could be in for a good night. 56.63 fantasy points given up by Memphis in the last 7 to point guards. So that one could be another one for you. Add D'Angelo Russell in the mix. So we got D'Lo, Draymond, VanVleet, Poole. There's 4. You asked for what, 5? One more. Fultz, maybe. Fultz is so hit or miss, though. SGA versus Cleveland. Nah, Cleveland's tough. Ain't messing with Cleveland. Siakam. Siakam's 3 for his last 3. 51-8, 46-4, 60.7. What's Golden State been up to? Oh, they're giving up 57, almost 58 fantasy points per game to centers. That's right around top 10 most fantasy points. So you could go Pascal Siakam. Let me pull something up here for Siakam. I want to see what he did against Golden State in that last game, even though the players and the situation is going to be a little different tonight. He had 39-5 the last time he played Golden State. Ooh, well, that's kind of ugly. Kind of ugly. Let's see. What do I have a projection for him? Let's see. 46.2. That's not bad. That's a pretty decent gap. Pretty decent difference. 46-2 versus 44-5. So you could go Siakam maybe as your final option. Like I said, I know a lot of people are on Clay, but Poole looks pretty sweet, consistent. So I don't know. Maybe those 6: Poole over fantasy, Van Vliet over fantasy, Draymond over fantasy, Russell over fantasy, Siakam over fantasy. So there's 5 to consider. They'll probably add more maybe on the board at some point, but I think those are all somewhat good looking options based on the projections and whatnot. So run with those. See what happens. Lulu Vic, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Rocket Sauce coming through with a super chat. He says he's got 2 3-point make props that he wants to look at. One being Brook Lopez at 1.5 and the other being Gary Trent Jr. over 2.5. He says thanks, and EAGLES Eagles. Love that. All right, Brolo, 1.5. He wants to take the over on Brook Lopez. And the other one that he mentioned was Gary Trent Jr.? Yep, GTJ. So both of those. Zach, we already talked about some Holiday assists. Hit that rewind button, my man, and go back and watch what we said about Holiday's assists. But we did talk about some Drew Holiday's assists. Lopez, 1.5 3-point makes. Gary Trent Jr., 1.5 3-point makes. Let's pop these game logs open here. What are we liking about Brolo tonight against Indiana? He's hit the over in 3 out of his last 5 games when it comes to 3-point makes. So let's go peek at this one real quick. Where's he at? Boom. All right. For the season, 27 for 47. 57% hit rate. Last 10 games, 7 for 10, 70%. He missed against Cleveland, missed against Denver, but 7 out of his last 10 is pretty darn good. One of those games included a matchup against the Indiana Pacers where he drained 3 triples. We're still waiting on Indiana Pacers news, whether or not Miles Turner is going to be in. If he is not, he might end up getting Isaiah Jackson or Jalen Smith. So we're still waiting on Nembhard, Neesmith, and Turner news. We don't know if those guys are going to be in or out, but we do know that Portis and Ibaka is going to be out, so maybe Brolo ends up playing some more minutes. He's going to have to share the ball, though, because Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday are all going to be playing tonight for Milwaukee, so definitely worth considering. Less attempts could be in the near future here for Mr. Brook Lopez, but yeah, 27 for 47, 57% hit rate. He's going to be on the road tonight. At home, he makes 2 per game. On the road, he makes 1.9. So not a significant change or difference when he plays at home versus on the road, but 61% in his road games, 14 for 23, and he's averaging 5.5 3-point makes in his last 5 games. If you take a look at his last 6 games on the road, he's actually hitting 5 out of his last 6. So looking pretty good here on the road, showing some pretty good form. Let's see. Is the Indiana Pacers giving up a lot of threes per game to opposing centers? Actually, they are. 1.99. They lead the league in the last 7 games in 3-point makes allowed to centers. So giving up about 2 3-point makes per game to centers. Lopez is probably the only center on this Milwaukee Bucks team that's going to be shooting, taking, or making any threes tonight. So I would say that he gets probably most, if not all, of the 3-point makes that they give up per game. So that's pretty good. So let's look at a 3-point make prop here for Brolo. Brook Lopez, aka Splash Mountain. Where's he at today? I got him projected for 2 makes. That's looking good. 2 3-point make projection. And then he is at minus 130 to go over on some of these sports books. So you are getting some good juice. Pretty good juice. Minus 130. Wish it was higher. Maybe it'll be higher by the end of the night. But as of right now, minus 130 is what you're getting there on Brook Lopez to go over 1.5. So good projection. Pretty good hit rates here recently on the road. The matchup looks right against Indiana. And you're getting good juice. And then Gary Trent Jr. was your other option that you're interested in going with. And he is 2.5 on his 3-point makes. So 2 for his last 5, averaging 3.2. So he's not hitting consistently, but the games that he does hit, I mean, he really hits. So like Milwaukee with 4, 6 against the New York Knicks. So he's 2 out of his last 5. Let's take a look at Gary Trent Jr. real quick, get a better feel for which way we should be going on this, over or under. This season at 2.5, 17 for 42, 40%. That's not good. He had a long stretch here where he could not knock down 3 threes for whatever reasons. Things have really kind of picked up here the last 10, 15 games. 4 for his last 10. Let's go to the last 30 view. He's hit this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of his last 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 9 out of his last 15 it's all right. It's above 50%. Probably close to around 60%. That's not terrible. What about when he's on the road versus when he is at home? He's going to be on the road tonight. At home, he knocks down 2.5 per game. On the road, he knocks down about 2.8 per game. So higher average, slightly higher average on the road. And we've seen him clear this in 6 out of his last 10 games played on the road as well. No previous games against Golden State. He did not play against the Warriors in that earlier matchup from this season. Last season, he played them twice. He had 3 at Golden State, 2 at Toronto. So 1 for 2, but 1 for 1 on the road, which is where he's going to be again tonight on the road in Golden State. Last but not least here, shooting guards, 3-point makes allowed by the Warriors over the last 7 games. Golden State given up about 2.5, which is down toward the bottom. That is the 8th fewest 3-point makes per game on average in the last seven games. So not giving up a whole ton of threes like the Miami Heat, who are giving up 4.5 3-point makes per game in the last 7 to shooting guards. So if you know a Magic shooting guard who's looking to take some threes tonight, maybe it's Franz Wagner or somebody, they should have a pretty good night. Maybe Gary Harris isn't a bad play. He's pretty much a 3-and-D guy. If he's going to score, it's mostly coming from beyond the arc. So if you could take a Gary Harris over 3-point make prop, may not be a bad look against this Heat squad, the way that they've been defending the 3-ball against shooting guards. All right. Let's get you that projection, that coveted projection here. 3.1, that is definitely more than 2.5. And then we're seeing them at 2.5 on all the books, minus 125 to minus 130, and even minus 136 betting favorite to go over. So there's your 2 3-point make props. Out of the 2, who are we liking more out of these 2? Let's maybe try to narrow it down for our friend Rocket Sauce here. Is there one that you're liking more than the other? Lopez or Gary Trent Jr.? Who you trusting more here out of these 2? Maybe it's a double fade. Maybe you get rid of both of them. But Yannick is saying he's liking GTJ, Gary Trent Jr., to go over his 3-point prop a little bit more than Brolo. Silbaru, not Subaru. Silbaru is liking Lopez. Matt's liking Lopez as well. So just taking a little bit of a poll here amongst our viewers. So, okay there. That's Rocket Sauce for you. There's your super chat. Blaine coming through with a super chat, getting caught up on all these. He says he went 4 for 6 last night. What do you think of Jaren Jackson over points? Fred VanVleet over PRA. We talked about Fred VanVleet. I think for me, VanVleet, I typically like his fantasy prop a little bit more. I like the fantasy score on VanVleet. So because of his ability to get steals and blocks. He's pretty good at that, getting some steals and blocks for you. So I'd probably prefer Fred VanVleet for a fantasy prop over PRA. And then Paolo Banchero over rebounds and assists. Kyle Lowry over PRA, Grayson Allen over PRA, and Carter Jr. over rebounds. Wendell Carter Jr. has been rebounding the ball very well. I know that's going to be an option for some folks. He's at 8.5. He's cleared that at a pretty high rate here recently. Let me look at some of these other ones. Van Vliet over PRA. I'm not going to go over Van Vliet. I think you take the fantasy score on Van Vliet. Banchero, anything Banchero point related on the road is not quite as good as it is at home. But you're taking you're wanting to take rebounds and assists for Banchero at 8.5, so that might be a different story. Here's another thing that I don't like about if you're going to put all these in the same entry. You're saying Wendell Carter Jr. over 8.5 rebounds. You're also liking Banchero to go over 8.5 rebounds and assists. They don't correlate well. You're saying that both of these guys are basically going to have good rebounding games, which could be true. I'm not saying that they both can't hit, but they just don't correlate well. Normally, if you're going to take like two guys from the same team in the same prop category, or that are sharing a prop category, one typically, at least for me, one typically is going to eat and the other one maybe not going to eat so much. So if you're really high on Carter Jr.'s rebounds, then maybe that means Banchero's not going to get so many rebounds. So you may want to rethink that a little bit. But anyway, we'll look at him anyway. And then Kyle Lowry, PRA. For me, again, Kyle Lowry, kind of like a Fred VanVleet type of player where Lowry's pretty good at getting some steals and blocks. So just for his stock potential alone, I kind of like that for Kyle Lowry. I mean, he's 2 for 5 on either one, but you're asking for PRA, so we'll look at it. And then Grayson Allen over PRA and Carter Jr. over rebounds. Grayson Allen. Again, Grayson Allen probably going to take a back seat tonight with Middleton, Giannis, Drew, Lopez. I mean, Allen's probably like fifth on the totem pole when it comes to options for the Milwaukee Bucks. But let's go ahead and buzz through these real quick for you. Appreciate the super chat. Boom, 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 boom. Grayson Allen sitting at exactly 50%, 22 out of 44. I missed Jaren Jackson points. Thank you. Let's add it in to the ticket. Jaren Jackson got into foul trouble against Golden State the other night. I had his points and rebounds. He hooked me. I got hooked by freaking Jaren Jackson Jr. So he's not my favorite person right now, but maybe he's due for a bounce back tonight. Anyway, Grayson Allen, 22 for 44, 50% hit rate, averaging 16.8 for the season, 18.4 in his last 10, 19.8 in his last 5. And then against Indiana, he had 26 PRA in that game. So not super consistent. Usually he's at his best whenever you have Middleton out or Giannis out or Drew out or some combination of those players thereof. So for me, like I said, when one of those guys are out or multiple guys that I mentioned, their big three are out, I'm more in on Grayson Allen. I mean, just consistency wise, the last like 10 games, 50%. The last 30 games, he's 50%. So, I mean, there's just so many better props that I think we've talked about already that you probably should consider over Grayson Allen's PRA. I mean, guys like Bam Adebayo's rebounds and assists, guys like Poole over points and assists, Klay Thompson over points is another one. We talked about Jordan Poole's fantasy score is another one. Yeah, I think there's just better options than dealing with the guy who's probably like 5th on the pecking order and hoping he gets you 17 PRA. But, you can kind of see what he's been up to here recently. At home, 17.9 PRA. He's going to be on the road tonight where he averages just 15.6. So this is a bad splits spot for Grayson Allen. Significantly fewer points, rebounds, and assists playing on the road, just 9 for 21. The hit rate for the season was around 50%. Now it's at 43% when we talk about him on the road. So like I said, could hit. Anything could happen on any given night, but based on what I'm seeing here, this doesn't look like a sexy option whatsoever. So Grayson Allen's projection is 18.4. He is a betting favorite, though, to go over minus 125 at 16.5. So if you're going to take it, go ahead and flex it. Take it sparingly. I would not reuse this pick and recycle it in multiple entries or anything like that. This does not look like a slam dunk play to me. It looks like an okay play to me. Brian, so far, I think we just talked 3-point makes as far as the ones we mentioned. Gary Trent Jr. and Brooke Lopez. Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. and Brooke Lopez. Hey, Dre, we've already talked about the stocks for blocks and steals. I already talked about the blocks, the blocks and steals for Jalen Williams, Dre. So rewind this sucker and hit that rewind button. Anyway, Jaren Jackson Jr. was the next guy that you mentioned. Let's go talk about his points. Again, if somebody like Desmond Bane is out tonight, Bane is currently a game time decision. In case you guys didn't know, if Bane sits out, then I would probably like Jaren Jackson Jr. a little bit more. He has cleared his points now in the last couple of games. He's going up against Minnesota tonight. This game does have a very nice total on it. And not that Steven Adams scores a lot, but Steven Adams is out. So, maybe Jaren Jackson Jr. finds himself with an extra shot or two. Take a look here. Where's he at? Boom. There we go. 15.5 points over the course of this season. Treated him pretty well. 19 for 32, 59%. So on the cusp of that 60% or higher mark that I typically like to look for. He has played the Minnesota Timberwolves once already this season. November 30th, in fact, he had 16 points. So he barely limped over the 15.5 number. He's going to be playing on the road. At home, he averages 16.6 points, 10 for 16, 63%. On the road, not as many, 15.8 though, still more than 15.5. That's a 9 for 16 hit rate when he plays on the road. So he's 1 for 1 against Minnesota, does average slightly more points at home. Going to be on the road tonight where he averages slightly fewer and has a slightly lower hit rate. Getting you a projection on this one real quick. Jaren Jackson Jr. 14.1. That is not good. 14.1 doesn't really correlate with which way the juice is going on a lot of these books here. At 15.5 points, they are betting the over. The public is betting the over here. Minus 125, 118, and 130 odds to go over. So the projection models on this particular projection model does not like him to go over 15.5. They have him at 14.1. I would encourage you to check some other projection models out there, though. There's some free ones out there, a site like Numberfire or Betting Pros, and kind of aggregate the projection. You have 14.1 projection here. Maybe they're a little higher. Average them together and kind of see where you fall with Jaren Jackson's points. For me right now, though, I think just based on what I'm seeing, I like seeing a projection that kind of aligns with the way that the juice is flowing and all that other stuff. So I'm going to probably leave this one off of anything that I played tonight. Kyle Lowry, PRA. Let's look at that one. Lowry, again, this is similar situation to some of these other guys here. Lowry is going to be probably, fourth on the pecking order. I mean, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro. Lowry might be your fourth best option. So going to be kind of like a similar situation to a Grayson Allen for me, where the Heat are just really healthy. Kyle Lowry's role has really started to diminish. They're looking to possibly trade him. There's teams calling about Kyle Lowry wanting to make a trade. So, I don't know. Again, not saying that it won't hit or can't hit. Anything on any given night can happen. But let's look at the numbers. Lowry, for the better part of the season, let's say the first 2/3 of the season, had done a good job at covering 17.5 PRA. But you want to talk about like recent form. Pitiful, right? 2 for his last 10, 20% hit rate. He's hit twice. Both of the times that he's hit happen to be against the New Orleans Pelicans for whatever reason. I guess, Pelicans defense, maybe they suck against point guards or something. But Lowry, 2 for his last 10, just a 20% hit rate. This does not look like the same Kyle Lowry that we saw for like the first 2/3 of the season where he was going over 17.5 PRA pretty easily, right? So it's kind of like the first 2/3 of the season, very good. The last like 10 games, not so good. So I don't want to take a risk on a guy who hasn't shown good form in recent games, if that makes any sense to you. 14.3 PRA in his last 10, 15.6 in his last 5. Again, if you like this, man, take it. Don't let me talk you off anything. I'm just here showing you the numbers, giving you a little feedback. So, hopefully it leads you in the right direction. But Kyle Lowry, 17.6 projected PRA. He's at 17.5. Just a little bit of juice on the over here, minus 120. And then he's at 18.5 on FanDuel. So you are getting a point of value. Point of value. There you go. Against a site like FanDuel, a book like FanDuel. So I'm not going to play him. If you want to know what I would do, I'm not going to play him. So if you want to play him, have fun with that. I'm not going to do it, though. Paolo Banchero's rebounds and assists. I'm happy to be wrong on Kyle Lowry, by the way. I'm happy to say I'm not going to play him, and then you do, and then he hits. More power to you. If it works out, God bless you. Paolo Banchero, another guy. I'm assuming you're wanting to go over here. He has not cleared this in his last 6 games. He has not gone over 8.5 rebounds and assists in his last 6 games. Now, maybe with like Jonathan Isaac sitting out tonight, Isaac's been back for the last couple of games. It's probably thrown their rotations off a little bit. We've seen Mo Bamba being featured a little bit. I think they're trying to get Mo Bamba's stock or value a little, highlighting him, showcasing him a little bit more so that they could go ahead and execute a trade for Mo Bamba. But a couple of different factors over the last few games here that might be impacting Paolo Banchero's rebounds and assists, but he is 0 for his last 6. So another guy who for the better part of the season has cleared this 8.5 number, but in recent games, last 6 games, just not showing the same form that we had seen for the first 2/3 of the season or so. So he's averaging 10.1 on the year, but 8.4 in the last 10 and only 6.6 in his last 5. So you're kind of catching Banchero. Maybe you're catching him maybe this is a buy low opportunity. It could be again, I'm not Nostradamus. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I don't know what's going to happen in the future or anything like that, but last 10 games, just 3 for 10, 30%. He has gone under this in 7 out of his last 10, averaging 8.4, slightly less than the 8.5 that he's projected for today. No games against Miami, nothing to see there. And then you can also look at some home and road splits at home. 10.7 rebounds and assists. When he's on the road, 9.5. So he's averaging less rebounds and assists on the road, but still an average of 9.5 is more than 8.5. Just, again, be careful. If you're going to play it, flex it. Don't put it in all your entries and go too heavy on it or anything crazy, because it's, again, not one of my favorite looks right now. 9.3 is the projection, though. Good projection. And then you're getting minus 130, minus 125, minus 135. So play it if you want. You now know more about it than you probably did before. So hopefully that helps you make an informed decision. And you spend wisely on your Paolo Banchero rebounds and assists bet, which brings us to the last guy, Wendell Carter Jr. I think a lot of folks are expecting Wendell Carter Jr. to continue doing what he do, which is going over 8.5 rebounds. We've seen him do it in his last 4 games. Again, no Jonathan Isaac tonight. Isaac's been getting around 10 minutes per game the last couple of games since returning back to the active roster. So again, those 10 minutes, maybe they get absorbed by Wendell. Maybe they get absorbed by Mo Bamba. Maybe they get absorbed by Mo Wagner. A lot of bodies on this Magic squad, which is why I just advise people for most nights just to leave the Orlando Magic alone. Bol Bol's another guy. Bol Bol was all the rage about a month ago. Now Bol Bol's coming off the bench and getting maybe 10 minutes if he's lucky. I don't know. So you never know what to expect with the Orlando Magic. It seems like any given night, somebody different could step up. It could be a Banchero night. It could be a Wagner night. It could be a Carter night. Could be a false night. You never know. Anyway, 18 for 29 this season, 62% hit rate. That is good. It's a over 60% hit rate, which is what we like. 8.8 rebounds per game. He's averaging 8.9 in the last 10 and last 5 games, 9 rebounds per game. So slightly climbing, a little bit of an uptick for season to last 10 to last 5 averages. Just taking a look at the last 10, 7 for 10, 70%. Last 5, 4 for 5, 80%. So definitely showing good form when it comes to rebounding the basketball here. The Miami Heat, though, they only allow 42.2 rebounds per game. That is the 8th fewest. So they are a stingy team when it comes to total rebounds allowed, but where they really seem to let up is on the defensive rebound side, which is where a bulk of Wendell Carter Jr.'s rebounds will come from, is from the defensive side. And that's true for any player, really. There are some guys that are really good offensive rebounders, but most of the rebounds are going to come on the defensive end. They rank 21st, allowing over 33 defensive rebounds per game. So moving ahead here, just looking at the last 7 games, centers versus the Miami Heat. How many rebounds are Miami giving up to opposing centers in the last 7 games? Well, we got to go all the way down to the bottom here because they have not allowed opposing bigs and or they have faced some really bad opposing centers in their last 7 games, but they're giving up just the second most rebounds per game to centers in their last 7 games at 11.1. So could this be a trap? Potentially. Could be a trap. Could be a trap. Tough matchup. Let's get you a projection. Wendell. Mr. Wendell Carter Jr. is projected for 8.3 boards. That is less than 8.5. That is closer to 8 than it is 9. That does not look good. Looks like he is a slight betting favorite to go under 8.5. So again, this would not be considered a plus EV play. This would not be something where you're going with the odds. Instead, you're going against the odds. So they're not in your favor. The odds are not in your favor in this case. So there you go. Bod Davis, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Karan Marion, thank you for subscribing. And Wendy DeLeon, thank you for subscribing as well. So this could be a trap tonight. Wendell Carter Jr. could be a trap tonight. Again, if you like it, take it. Not here to talk you off of anything, but based on what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like there's a lot of momentum for the over on Wendell Carter Jr. Besides the fact that when you open up his last 5 games, you see 4 green beans in there. 4 green beans. That's about all you're getting with this. What other ones did we have? Was that the last one? I think that was the last one. So yeah, Fred VanVleet, fantasy scorer, I like more than the PRA. That was the only one that we really didn't talk about, but we already had talked about it previously. So check out Fred VanVleet's fantasy score. 559 fishing. Huge super chat. My goodness. $19.99. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting me and the channel and the show. Let's go in here for 559 fishing. That is an interesting name too. Kyle Anderson wants to go over on Kyle Anderson's points. Let's start there. Kyle Anderson's been playing some pretty good ball lately for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So you're wanting to take the over at 9.5 points. You're wanting to go over on Drew Holiday's points. 19.5, potentially a blowout situation for Drew. You've also got Ant-Man points. I think we talked about some Ant-Man for points and assists, but if you like the points more, knock yourself out. We'll definitely look at those. SGA points. That one's a little bit scary. He's going up against a Cleveland Cavaliers team who is known to be tough defensively. And then Jalen Williams points. No Lou Dort tonight. Maybe Jalen Williams steps into a larger role. So you're wanting to go over on all of these. So let's go start looking here. Appreciate your patience as I get caught up on all these super chats. For those who have left super chats, don't worry. I haven't forgotten about you. Just takes a little bit of time. All right, Jalen Williams, 13.5 points. We saw him put 24 up against Atlanta. 24 against Atlanta. Was that an outlier or a fluke? Was that something that we can expect again tonight from Jalen Williams? You see the previous game logs there. 4, 13, 11, and 1. Poo. not very good, right? The previous 4 games prior to that most recent one against Atlanta. He is going to be without Lou Dort, so that might factor into which way we go here. Maybe we go over. He's 15 for 44 at 13.5 points. That's just a 34% hit rate. We talked about Cleveland being tough defensively. Kind of like we mentioned before, I don't like that you have 2 OKC guys going over points. Yes, it could happen, but will it happen? It just doesn't correlate well. It's like taking 2 wide receivers over receiving yards or something. Like normally it's one guy who really has the big game, the other guy's kind of left out in the cold. That could be the situation tonight, but let's get into it a little bit further here. So 15 for 44, 34% hit rate, just 11.8 points per game. If we take Lou Dort out, we've only got 1 game log where Jalen Williams has played without Lou Dort, and he only had 7 points in that game. That was against Memphis. He's seeing a lot more minutes lately than he did in this game with 25.6 minutes. That 1 game played without Lou Dort. In his last 10 games, he's averaging over 31 minutes, so 32 minutes per game roughly in his last 10. So definitely getting more playing time than he did in that 1 game. His role is starting to grow here on this Oklahoma City Thunder squad. He did play Cleveland, only had 11 points against the Cavs in that game. That was from December 10th. Again, this is a situation where he played about 29.3 minutes. That's actually a pretty healthy amount of run. He was held to less than 14 points in that game, though. So that is definitely something that's a little bit concerning. Taking a look at his home and road splits. He's going to be at home tonight where he averages 13.3 points versus on the road where he's just 10.4 points. So a lot better, a lot more comfortable when it comes to scoring in his last 10 home games. 6 for 10, 60%. And then he's averaging 15.5, which is 2 points higher than where he's at today at 13.5 on PrizePicks. So you're catching him in a good spot being at home, but you are catching him in one of the toughest defensive matchups against this Cavaliers team. So again, you probably want to tread lightly on this one, as he is not really known for his scoring, probably more for his other things, being sort of a Swiss Army knife or rebounder, defensive stats like his blocks and steals and things like that. So I don't know how to feel yet, just yet about his points. Now, projection wise, 12.5 points, 13.5 points on the books. This is not, again, a plus EV play. This is, in other words, you going against the odds. You're going against the current here on these sports books. So he's a betting favorite to go under. He's projected to go under. A lot of the games that he plays, he does go under. We know the matchup's going to be a tough one against Cleveland tonight. So if you do play it over, you might want to tread lightly. SGA was another one from this OKC squad. He did fall short on his points prop of 29.5 the last time that he played Cleveland. He has hit this, though, 3 straight 30-plus games, but he went against some teams that aren't very good defending the point guard positions. Sacramento, Denver, and Atlanta. So 37, 34, and 36. 37, 34, and 36. So 3 straight games. A lot of people are probably going to look at the last 3 and be like, all right, SGA's heating up. Time for me to jump back on the SGA train. He's starting to warm up again. Well, let's go look at this a little bit further here. 28 for 44 this season, 64% hit rate, averaging a healthy 30.8 points per game. His last 5 games have been good, averaging 31.6. So definitely showing some good form in his last 3. But against Cleveland, at Cleveland, this was a road game. At 29.5 points, he landed on just 23 against the Cavaliers in that game. So could be tough sledding tonight for SGA. Let's look at the split situation. At home, 30.5 points. On the road, 31.1 points. So he actually scores a few more points. Well, a higher points per game average on the road this season at 31.1 than he does at home. So you're catching him in a bad split spot. But he's still 13 for 20, 65%. Averaging 30.5 points per game, which is a point higher than his line today. at 29.5. He's going to be working on 1 day's rest. He is 18 for 29, 62% on 1 day of rest. And when he's at home on 1 day of rest, he is 8 for 13, 62% hit rate. I'm probably staying away from SGA tonight because I respect the Cavaliers too much. But he is projected for 29 points. That is slightly less than 29.5. Taking a look at where he's at on the books. Again, this is another one of those ones where it is not a plus EV play. This is you, again, going against the grain, going against the current here on these sports books. Most of these sports bettors are betting the under on SGA tonight. They don't believe he goes for 30 against Cleveland. Minus 125, under 29.5, even minus 130 on BetMGM to go under. So I'm staying away from him today. Staying away from SGA. That's going to be my final answer on that. Ant Edwards, we talked about Ant for points and assists. You're asking about Anthony Edwards for just the pure points on their own. He's hit this in 3 straight games. He is 2 for 2 on his points against Minnesota this season as well. I won't get into Anthony Edwards too deep with the projections and analysis and all that, but I will get you a projection here of 28.1 points. He's at 27.5 on all books, minus 120, minus 122 betting favorite. Again, we talked a lot about Anthony Edwards earlier, so I just don't want to rehash it. Just going back to the points and assists real quick, he's also a betting favorite to go over 32.5 points and assists, and he's projected for 32.9 points and assists as well. So both are probably fine. I don't think he hits the points and assists, obviously, unless he has a good scoring night. But if you want to take just the points on their own, the points 20 for 50 this season at 40%. The points and assists 20 for 50 at 40%. So same hit rates on them. 2 for 2 on just the points. 2 for 2 on the points and assists. So there's really not a bad option here between these two props. He is 12 for 26, 46% on points and assists at home. He is 11 for 26 at 42%. So slightly higher hit rate by like 1 game with the points and assists. So there's his home hit rates for you. So there's Ant Edwards. I like him. I think he's in a good spot tonight. We talked about his rebounds too. If Gobert's out, Anthony Edwards rebounds. Play it. Drew Holiday at 19.5 points. Drew, somebody liked Drew Holiday's assists earlier at 7. He had been bumped down from 7.5 on the books down to 7. Yes, Karan, Draymond Green fantasy for sure. Take it. Drew Holiday, though, 19.5 points. 4 out of his last 5, he has covered this. Milwaukee going to be with Chris Middleton and Giannis. No Bobby Portis. Brook Lopez obviously will be starting as well. So let's take a look at this one. I am worried about the blowout here. If the Bucks blow out the Pacers, well, you got to hope that Drew Holiday is a major factor in that. A big reason why they blow him out. He's 16 for 37 this season. That's a 43% hit rate. I don't like sub 50% hit rates. So that's kind of concerning. A lot of the games that you're going to see that he's hit here recently, a lot of those were without Giannis. All right. So important to note that don't get fooled by just looking at these green bars and thinking it's all sweet. You got to dig in a little bit deeper. Sometimes you got to figure out, hey, who's active, who's inactive for these games. And you got to do a little bit more of a deeper dive and go down the rabbit hole a little bit, right? Anyway, he's played Indiana once. He had 35 points against the Pacers in that game. Going back here, taking a look at the home splits, 20.6 points per game at home. On the road, just 18.4. He's on the road tonight. So not scoring as well on the road versus how he's been scoring at home. So you're catching him in a bad spot, bad split. 7 for 18, 39% hit rate on the road this season. So there's a little bit of a rundown there for you on Drew. And then as far as a projection on Drew Holiday, 21.3 points. He's at 19.5 on your books. Betting favorite anywhere from 118 odds to go over to 130. Okay. So there's Drew Holiday for you. And then Kyle Anderson, 9.5 points. AJ Johnson, thank you for subscribing to the channel. AJ Johnson, thank you for the sub. How many subscribers are we at? Are we at 8,000 yet? I'm trying to get to 8,000 today, guys. If you're watching, you're not subscribed, get subscribed. You could be part of the 8,000 subscribers that have subscribed to the channel. And you could get yourself one of these risk-free 2-pick power plays like my guy Anthony Diaz has won. Congratulations, Anthony. Again, I don't know if you're watching live, Anthony, or maybe you're catching me on the replay, but you were the winner of today's 2-pick power play giveaways. So we're giving away a risk-free 2-pick power play every single show. You get both of those picks right, you win $100. $100 on PrizePicks. All right, it's Benjamin Franklin. It's big cheese. So Anthony Diaz, you are our winner today. Anthony is a subscriber. He has liked the video and he has went down to the comment section of the video and he's left a comment on his favorite pick of the day. So once I end today's show, the replay goes up. You go down to the comment section and leave a comment, and I'll pick a name on Monday's show from today's comment section. Okay, cool. Anyway, Kyle Anderson, 9.5 points. Kyle Anderson, 9.5 points. He is at 3 of 5. 3 of his last 5. So let's look at Kyle Anderson a little bit here. He had a couple of really big games going back to like that game against Toronto with 20. But Kyle Anderson's not typically a guy I go to or look to when it comes to getting points. Every once in a while he'll pop off, but he's not the consistent points guy that like Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell are, right? It's not really his role. He's kind of like the modern day. You guys remember Shane Battier? Anybody remember Shane Battier out there? This guy's kind of like the modern day Shane Battier. He does a little bit of everything. He's kind of that glue guy. He just seems to fit in with whatever team he goes to. He kind of fits in nicely, right? He's like that missing piece on a lot of these teams. But Shane Battier, man, he was that dude. Defender, scored a little bit, got you some rebounds, some assists. I just remember him infamously keeping his hand in Kobe Bryant's face, just like this. Every time he'd guard Kobe, when he was a member of the Houston Rockets, he'd have his hand right here in Kobe's face every time. That's what I remember about Shane Battier the most. That and that head, that haircut, that bald head he had. Anyway, Shane Battier, shout out to you if you're watching. You're not, but shout out to you. 14 for 39 on Kyle Anderson's points, 36% hit rate. Going up against Memphis. A little bit of a revenge narrative, perhaps? Kyle Anderson, once a member of the Memphis Grizzlies for quite some time, in fact. He is 2 for 2 against his former team, 11 and 10 points. So maybe he hoists up a couple of extra shots to stick it to the man, right? To the Memphis Grizzlies. What do you guys think? You think Kyle Anderson's playing with a little chip on his shoulder going up against his former team, the Grizz? Let me know. He is 2 for 2 though, 11 points and 10 points in those games against his former ball club. So there's that, a little narrative street. Last 10 games for Kyle, 6 for 10, 60%. Last 5 games, just 3 for 5, 60%, as you see here on PrizePicks. So as far as points go, Kyle Anderson at home, 8.2. Kyle on the road, 8. Not a significant swing in points per game when we're looking at the splits data on Kyle Anderson. So let's move ahead here. Let's look at Kyle Anderson's projection. He is at 9.5, projected for 10.7. Seems like a lot of people are liking Kyle Anderson today because he's getting some juice, some love for the over. So they think he's going to go for 10 or more points, minus 130 betting favorite on virtually all major sports books right now. So you would be going with the current on this one, with the grain on Kyle Anderson for more than 9.5 points. Hey, Asil, are you just now getting here? Asil WTF, are you just now getting here? Just wondering. Because we've talked about Anthony Edwards for points and assists. We've talked about Anthony Edwards for points already. We've talked about Anthony Edwards, but yeah, I like this Kyle Anderson play. I think that's a solid little look, especially when you consider, like I said, he was once a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. So yeah, that could be a good one. I think that's it, right? That kind of sums up your super chat. Hopefully that deep dive and analysis helps you with some of your picks, avoid some potentially bad ones and pitfalls, and stick with a couple of the good ones that you liked. So, hey, thank you so much. V got clamps for the subscription. Any other super chats that I missed? Nope. All right, we're good. All right, guys, it's been 2.5 hours. You do anything for 2.5 hours, you start to feel worn out. My butt's numb, okay, and that's not because of anything other than me sitting in this damn chair for too long. So I got to get up. I got to get moving. I got to go get myself some lunch. Your boy's famished. I don't eat breakfast, so lunchtime is crunch time. I'm looking forward to getting something good to eat for lunch. So make sure you guys are taking advantage of this Flex Friday promotion going on PrizePicks. Your first flex entry up to $20 made after 10:30 a.m., which is, a few hours ago now. It's 2:30 p.m. where I'm at here on the East Coast. But your first flex entry made after 10:30 a.m. up to $20 is protected, meaning if you lose it all, they're going to give it right back to you tomorrow. So you're really risking nothing and can win up to 25 times whatever $20 is. Pretty cool offer. So take advantage of that. Guys, we've talked about a lot on today's show. I appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you for all the love and support. If you're not subscribed yet, help me get to 8,000. Hit the subscribe button before you go. Hit the like button. We went over 100 likes in our last 3 or 4 videos. Let's keep the streak going. Let's keep the fires burning and blazing. All right. And I'll catch you guys on Monday. If you're in Patreon, if you're in Discord, guys, I'll see you there. We'll be writing up some picks and sharing some more information with you guys and doing some more research. Okay. Good luck. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one, guys.